non-conforming men that cross-dress. How the fuck does that have to do with trans people? We're all in the same fight, and you picking this fight is harmful for our entire community.
So, Polly, shut up. Let Finn do all the transphobic shit he wants. That's what your take is.
I didn't say that, but if you want to take it that way, you can.
I mean,
yeah,
fair enough. I mean, okay. Transphobic tropes, I guess, are terrific. You heard it here first from Keffals.
Well, I'm glad that that's your takeaway from the situation, I guess.
All right. Well, I appreciate the chat.
Yeah, likewise.
All right. Have a nice one.
You too.
All right, that was something else.
I want to be myself, and I want everybody else to be themselves.
Talk with those people.
Okay. And by the way, just so you know, there's another person waiting in stream guests, Sidra. Just so you know.
Who?
I want everyone to be themselves.
Oh, her. Yeah, I'm not gonna.
Everyone.
Go for it. Maybe. I'll tell you what, Sidra, if you're waiting, maybe between this segment and the next one, I'll have you in the chat. But
we're running into the.
All right, see you, Leo.
We're jumping into the debate.
All right.
We are jumping in.
The nightmare can begin. So I have not seen any of this, so I don't know what to expect, except that I should expect the worst. And I'm out of coffee. Alas. Let's get into it.
Okay.
Here we have Pollypeople, who has just been the absolute worst lately, for God knows what reason. I don't know why.
Pollypeople.
It makes no sense.
People. Okay. Let's start.
By the end of the day, President Sunday can, should, and must become a femboy. I don't think that's within my toolkit.
That's why President Sunday is bald now. To wear a nice wig. You can expand your toolkit always. Begin.
Let me know if the audio is good, guys.
Is my audio good?
I'm sure in public Finn gets as many weird stares as any trans person. Not to say his experiences are in any way.
Okay, it looks like it is the Finn thing. Can somebody give me a link to some explanation of what the Finn thing is? What the hell's going on here? Or if anybody wants to explain this very quickly. Or Sidra, if you were by chance coming on to talk about that.
Explanation is a boy dressed as a girl, controversy ensued, I guess. This is what I know about the situation. My explanation is very brief. My explanation is very concise. There you go. This is what happened.
Let's pull him in quickly, just in case. Just in case. Hey, Sidra, how are you doing?
What happened?
Hello,
yes.
hello. Can you hear me?
Oh, you're about to hear an explanation.
You're trying to speak.
I want to rub my bald head against Sunday's bald head so we can reach each other's minds. True.
Hello? Going once. Going twice. Alright, we'll try again in between segments.
Whoa.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah. That's just,
Okay, explain to us.
Oh, it's you, the voting one.
Yeah.
How are you?
Explain to us the situation.
Voting one, yes.
Voting one. Oh, voting one. Explain to us the situation right now. So we can vote
I'm just
ourselves.
about to get into the Keffals versus Pollypeople debate. Was there something on your mind quickly?
Well, I'm here for that. That's what I caught the thing, and I didn't know but what you might want an older trans person's perspective on the whole thing.
I'm the oldest person.
Just,
give me my old perspective.
It all revolves
You're cutting off a little bit there.
It revolves around Finster.
Okay. I'll tell you what. I'm going to go through this quickly myself, but I will be streaming again tomorrow night. So if you wanted to come on and comment, then that's probably going to be the ideal time. It's super late for me, and I don't know how long I can do this for.
No,
so.
it's super late for me too. But please carry on. I think it's good that you're getting to it. But boy, it's enough. Enough's enough.
That's what I hear. Yeah. All right. Well.
All right.
Okay. We'll resume later. Take care. You have a good night.
All right. Cheers. You too.
Wait, I say that lovingly. I think the algorithm suggested Lucy have the video when I stumbled upon Lucy due to my Sunday viewership. Is that good? Isn't that good? Wait, you say that lovingly? Usually when people say, I say that lovingly when they like, when they want to say something that might sound harsh, but isn't that good? I don't get it. I don't understand.
Too.
I don't understand what you saying to me. Come on.
All right.
I drink car.
I just need to find out quickly what the Finistra is.
All right.
The Finistra thing is. Finistra drama.
All right. We got to get our context fix. Fix context.
You want a TLDR? Are you offering a TLDR? That'd be.
Isn't that TLDR that awful YouTuber that had a deer persona or something? Entire
That'd be
JW.
useful. DM talked about it a tiny bit. Was a related segment. I'm sure we'll get the deets as this goes forward. It's gonna just be a case
Debate.
example, anyways. They're gonna be debating the particulars. So
Nobody told me
let's
about
just
this debate.
Jump into this.
I needed
wasting
something
more
to
time.
review
So,
yesterday.
Keffals versus Pollypeople.
Okay, let's
Apparently
go.
it's a disaster. Let's go.
It's similar, but
Disaster, wow.
he doesn't like rally
I
against
mean, I'm not sure if I did not expect it to be a disaster, but somebody should debate me.
trans people. I hope that's not a straw man point. That is a straw man point. Like when you sort of lean into the. I mean, here we go. I'll pull it up. I'll pull this shit up.
Like, somebody should debate me, right? Shouldn't, I would introduce you to the kind, gentle debate. I'm like the gentle debater, okay? I'm gonna lead you through the debate. Come on! Yeah.
When you rely heavily on ideas like, look, I fooled you, I'm a man, you're gay now, sort of stuff, that is, that's saying, oh, hold on a second, let's talk to Keffals. Friend of the stream, Keffals.
Not for long.
All right.
Not for long? Oh, no. Uh-oh, not for long. Uh-oh. That sounded ominous, not for long. But, was it really like that? Wasn't really, oh, I fool you, you're gay now? Was that really, like, I can unironically, I can see the value of saying maybe your preconceived, maybe the whole I fooled you again now could be viewed as like maybe your biases are not as airtight as you assumed, right? Okay. Yeah, very good, Butterwagon. We will watch the video without the commentary from President Sunday. Okay, I'm gonna get the raw experience. Very good. Very good. Oh, this actually looks pretty nice. This photo actually looks pretty nice. This photo actually looks pretty nice. It starts at when? Here's? Interesting. Okay, then I guess we can continue with what is being on. Where is it? If it's good either way.
Seems really strange, doesn't it, when you think about it that way?
If it's good for the duck, then it's good for the pack. Where is the...
It's like, this is a penis shirt. What the fuck is going on here?
So yeah,
They will
I don't know.
like do
I think this is like...
basically. But what?
I'm gonna say it's not
earliest treatments of
transphobic, okay?
Started their transition.
as a woman,
If I'm on crime.
Not for long.
that's
A friend of the channel, not for long.
I'm gonna go through this quickly.
This is gonna require a lot of editing on
Okay.
my part.
that's
But
So
fine.
close.
this is
Yes.
gonna be an
Fin thing.
editing.
Can somebody give me a link? Fin thing.
Hello.
Can somebody give me a link to some explanation of what?
Perspective on the whole thing, which I
up. I'll pull this shit up. When you rely
They're gonna be debating the particulars, so let's just jump into this,
Right.
so we're not wasting
So
any
let's
time.
see.
So,
Hello,
Keffals versus
everybody.
Pollypeople. Apparently it's a
Hello,
disaster. Let's go.
everybody.
similar, but he doesn't like rally against trans people. I hope that's not a straw man
So-
point. That is a straw man point. Like when you sort of lean into the. I mean, here we go. I'll pull it up. I'll pull this shit up.
Let's go.
When you rely heavily on ideas like, look, I fooled you, I'm a man, you're gay now, sort of stuff, that is, that's saying, oh, hold on a second, hold on, let's talk to Keffals. Friend of the stream, Keffals.
Not for long.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, that is
Judging from what I've
President
heard.
Sunday. I've heard so as well. Right now, from President Sunday, yeah.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Thank you for reaching out to me. Let me get this open here.
Okay, let's get full screen. Let's get comfortable. I am comfortable right
Okay,
now.
hi, can you hear me?
I can
Yeah,
hear
I
you.
can hear you.
All right.
More people should debate me. I already said that. Nobody debates me.
I believe this is the
Okay,
first
let's
time we've
go.
chatted, and so, you know, thank you for considering chatting with me.
Oh, I figured that I figured you deserved at least a conversation on it. This topic seems to really upset you.
Oh, I would say that. Well, okay. Here's the most upsetting thing about it is not necessarily the topic itself.
It
Well,
is?
you know,
Oh,
the topic itself is
thank you.
upsetting enough.
Thank
It's
you.
the
Thank
sort
you
of
very
the
much.
well poisoning, the sort of straw manning.
It's gonna be an intense debate, so I think we need a bit of soothing, It's like a balance, universal balance. So we're gonna get a heated debate, and I'm gonna try to soothe it out as much as I can.
and dismissing of the
much as I can.
very real critiques. I think.
Okay, so Pippa says Finster is a boy streamer who dresses as a girl. Sometimes he's a bit homophobic, misogynistic, etc., but only a little bit. Okay. It's not his thing. He's more of an ally than a problem. Finn is cis, but he does cross-dress sometimes and has a lot of trans followers. The TS versus CD wars seems futile. There's never gonna... Okay. Alright.
Think of Finn's content that have made it difficult. Like, I've sort of resigned myself to people sort of responding to me saying, "You're just jealous, Polly," or you're or now you're trying to control what people wear. You're basically a turf. So like that.
Are we anti-cross-dressing now? Are we anti-cross-dressing today? Is this what's gonna happen now?
It's been, and it's come from trans people, and I know, I have to guess that's been the results of some of the, not just you, but other
just
content
you.
creators, sort of not taking the critique seriously and being dismissive of
What
them.
is the critique?
So
Can
what's
you?
the critique?
I have not pre-watched. Okay, we have just found this, but I guess great minds think alike. So what is the critique? Let's hear it.
Yeah, okay, so if I could sort of briefly describe it, when you create content and you lean heavily into tropes such as like I'm a trap, if you've built your entire existence on the hey, I'm actually a man, lol, but I look just like a woman, and I've you're gay because you like me, or
there's a good, like, does this creator do it actually? Like, Lord, I'm a boy, but I'm a girl, and I trap you or something? Does this person go into those tropes that heavily? Like, I don't know. Like, I wonder.
I fooled you, and your entire presentation is, you know, on the surface, completely indistinguishable from a trans woman's experience. I mean, I thought he was a trans woman. That's why I sort of let it slide, right? Because, you know, I'm a trans woman.
Yeah, like if you,
hold on.
like if you did, okay, why would I hold on? Like,
well,
like already.
I thought you wanted to hear me out.
I am, but like immediately you're already saying you weren't even familiar with who Finn was or Finn's content before jumping to that conclusion.
Well, no, because I've familiarized myself with it. Like I'm not.
I see. Interesting. Well, we'll see how this goes, but like, I'm not familiar with this person's content at all either. And from where I stand, a person dresses you know, in a feminine way, like a girl, and you know, it's just, that's it, you know. I'm not sure why get angry about it.
Not just popping off here. What I'm trying to describe to you is I can understand why people might not quite pick up what I'm putting down here, because you sort of look at the content at first glance, you're like, this is just a trans woman being trans, right, being edgy.
Wait, but are we against cross-dressing? Like, this is strange. Are we against I thought we were okay with cross-dressing and drag queens. Like, I know I am, so this is a problem.
But when you look deeper into it and you become more familiar with his history, you know his entire platform is built off of transphobic shit. And so that is, you could tell me I'm.
How is Finn's entire platform built on transphobia?
Well, his entire thing.
Like, I don't know. Like, I literally am a person right now that is watching this. I have no clue about this person's content. And I don't know if this person's content is built on transphobia or not. I have no clue. Like, I only know that there's a person dressing up as a girl, and that in itself does not warrant me saying that it's bad. Because I think everyone should be able to just dress and present however they wish, however they identify. Like, I don't see a problem if like a cis boy would just dress and present like a girl would and say, this is my way of presenting like a cis boy, you know? It's just called gender nonconformity, right?
Thing is trap content, like fooling people into saying, look, you're gay for liking me, I'm actually a woman, lol, I fooled you, sort of stuff. Like, how does the trans community not take strays from that, and how is it okay for him to lean into those kind of tropes when he doesn't pay the price for it?
The price?
I mean, objectively, as someone who identifies as a cis man, if a straight man thinks that they're attracted to Finn, they're gay.
Do you understand that just saying it like that in such a bald sort of
I have a tiny idea. The act isn't bad if he does bad stuff, and I have no idea if he does that's bad, but it's not about the dress, right? Like, I have to listen to this more. Like, I am almost as blind as President Sunday here. I have no context for this keen thing. One random day in high school, my senior year, I dressed as a female at one point. I borrowed some of my older sister's clothes. It was fine and no controversy came of it. I just did it. I don't see an issue depending on context, right? Like, we might hear some context during this, but my take for now is that I don't see what the, like, depending, even what she's saying about I fool you, you're gay now, maybe actually dealing with deconstructing some biases, right? I think Finn is most guilty of being British. Oh, being British, innit? I'll say, guess I just understand the British spirit, mates. I think you just don't understand how it feels being British. You know what I mean?
Way in isolation, don't you see why that enables transphobes to say that we're like not real, or that we're
That seems to be incorrect on its face, what Keffals just said. Like the equivalent would be as if, like, for example, you're chatting with someone on a dating app and you're using an avatar that presents as female or male, and your interlocutor on a dating app, the person you're talking to, is confused about your gender, and they think that you're a man or a woman, and they're attracted to a man or a woman, but you reveal after you arrange like a meeting or whatever that no, in fact, I'm the contrary of my presentation. What's being touched on a little bit here is there's something sort of intrinsically perverse about having like a really hard line on what amounts in the end to purely aesthetic grounds. But that seems... This is where Polly gets hung up. He says with gusto he is a guy that cross-dresses and is not, and I repeat, not trans.
But what's wrong with cross-dressing? I don't see a problem with cross-dressing.
If I'm on Grindr, it's an interlocutor. Well, it is now if you want to continue following my channel.
we're actually traps.
Like, here's the thing. Like, objectively, maybe objectively is the wrong word. When Keffals says like you're gay if you like a person who if you're attracted to someone who portrays as female but happens to be male, you are in that moment attracted to someone who is female presenting, or you're attracted to you're attracted to someone who happens to be the same sex as you.
Yeah, but I think it sort of betrays the rigid ways we view sexuality, attraction, and, you know, those sort of things. I think there's a thing to be examined here, and even through, look, even through doing the whole, you're gay because I present as like a girl, you thought I was a girl, there's some sort of like a deconstruction to be made here. Like, is the person really... hello, Danielle. Is that person really just strictly attracted to one sort of sex or gender? Or is the person being attracted to certain traits like femininity or masculinity? Certain creators actually speak about this, about being attracted to certain things like femininity, like Kanye speaks about it often, about being attracted to people that are feminine rather than to men, women, or any other genders, right? So this becomes a conversation about this. Like, maybe we should just not be as rigid about attraction as well. Maybe there's some deconstruction to do here as well.
But you've been in some respect misled, which is distinct from people who insist, for example, that trans people have to disclose whether or not they got bottom surgery or that they're trans or whatever, because they are actually what they are portraying. What you have is additional hang-ups about whether or not society as a whole sort of historically bestows that aesthetic upon people with like a certain chromosome or genital set or whatever at birth. That's different.
Masculinity and femininity is hard to define, though. Where does that leave butches? I mean, I assume you mean a butch lesbian, right? A butch lesbian would be like a woman that takes on certain quote-unquote masculine features, right? Of presentation, or at least things that are considered to be. But even that's not always exactly the case.
Like in the case, like what's the misleading part is that Finn is saying that he's a woman in order to confuse the people he's talking to, when he's not a woman. He's a cis man who's cross-dressing. A trans woman is not misleading someone when they dress and portray themselves and say that they're a woman, because
Right.
they are. That's the difference.
Excuse me for a second. Okay. Yeah, I'm saying you wouldn't argue that finding a butch lesbian attractive makes a man gay. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I don't think that you didn't know the drag queen wasn't a cis woman. That means you're gay when sexuality is so much in your head and self-perception. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see it as most likely harmful and likely to reinforce transphobia, IMO. I don't know about that. And I do have some regard for that kind of move generally, because it breaks down, or at the very least it presents something of a challenge to people's sense that they just categorically cannot be attracted to people of some description.
Oh, see, like President Sandy is actually making my point, that it presents a chance to examine and maybe do a re-examination, a breakdown of what attraction is, to who we are attracted to, and all those sort of things, you know. It gives us a chance to re-examine those things. Because if sex and gender are not as simple as we assumed, or as many people still assume, then I think it follows to say that attraction cannot be as simple as people assumed.
Based upon fairly arbitrary and incidental characteristics that don't actually track personality type, how you actually relate to the person, how they actually relate to society, things like that. Keffals' initial reaction to Finn's video was a bit provocative. Her analysis was people only hate him because he's hot. I don't think that's true. I don't want to like discount Polly's concern here categorically. Yeah, we'll let this play out a bit more.
Yeah.
No, like I feel like they're gonna do this
I
regardless.
feel like I have a similar take. Let's let it play out and let's hear the context, all the arguments. Let's hear it all. You're going into this pretty blind, as is.
Finn is a man.
Okay.
Finn's always identified as
okay,
a man.
okay, but like transphobes don't care about that, and people who are not, who are not, well, I guess, you know, super in tune with trans issues are not going to think there's a dime's worth of difference between Finn saying, haha, I fooled you, look, you know, I'm just a man who looks every bit as much as a woman, and some other actually trans content creator that does the same thing or would do the same thing, except the harm that comes from that falls solely on the trans community, or largely unfairly on the trans community, which is a much more marginalized community.
Oh, the problem with that is that you can extend this argument to drag queens. The problem with this is that, like, you can... Also, the biggest problem is that transphobes will not care about anything. Like, you can be... Like, you could give a transphobe the most reasonable, great arguments, but they will just not care. Like, they will call trans people groomers either way. They don't care.
Really do not understand how you're coming to the conclusion that Finn increases the amount of transphobia in the world.
So if you...
This is important.
If you lean into any trope, like if you lean into sort of, I mean, I hate to like use this as a crude example, but if you make sort of racist jokes that are obviously racist in a way to sort of to straw man like racism, you're going to have racial minorities taking strays and being harmed by that. Like the furthering of tropes, like are you saying I need to prove to you that the furthering of transphobic tropes hurts the trans community? Like that's not a given to you?
So would you equally take offense when trans women who are doing sex work play into these tropes on incredibly large platforms because they know that it sells?
Finn is not trans. Finn is cis. Trans women that do that, trans women are doing that, and they are doing it because they have to. They live in a transphobic society. They're doing the best they can, and it's to say those two things are the same.
So here's where I can see a case being made. I don't think this is necessarily where Polly's going, but like if you're going to say.
Before President Sunday speaks, I will speak my case before. I don't want my opinion to be sort of influenced by President Sunday's. So I think I see a bit of a problem with this, because you could really extend this and say that, for example, you could say that literally drag queen performance buys into the trans tropes, fits into the transphobes, that trans women are basically just men that perform the role of women. And you can say transphobes don't care about the difference between trans women and drag queens, therefore drag queens are harmful. And I don't really think I buy this argument, that because transphobes don't care, therefore a cis man dressing up as a woman becomes, buying into tropes.
Say that, haha, I'm secretly a male when you present it as female. That does lean into the idea that trans women are essentially men in disguise. So if you are attracted to a trans woman as a woman, and then you learn that, they've got XY chromosomes, or they have a penis, or had a penis, or whatever, then therefore you're gay. Because I don't know if he's leading with... I don't think he's trying to pass as a trans woman. Finn is trying to pass as a woman simpliciter, so as a cis woman. And that's where that comes in. So I can see that being a problem. If it's the bare fact of... what is the trope exactly? I'm not entirely clear on that either.
Yeah.
But Finn hasn't done that kind of content in a long time, as in years ago, I think. Okay, well, it doesn't matter if he's doing it right now or not. I don't really care about Finn in particular. Like, just the activity itself.
Trying to discuss a broader thing, right?
Blows my mind.
No, because if you're making,
are you going to pretend like there's not a difference between those two things?
No, but I feel like if you're making this argument, it would actually be more harmful for trans people to do it because they're more representative of the trans community than Finn ever will be.
The average person who's going to be willing to go along with transphobic tropes are transphobic people. Are you kidding me? So, like, it doesn't matter to the average transphobe whether Finn's doing...
Well, they're already transphobic.
Yeah, they're already transphobic and they won't care. They will also use the same argument about drag queen story hour, and they already do. So I don't think those argue with like this is taking into consideration the perspective of a transphobe a bit too much for my liking.
Are we talking about spreading transphobia? Are we talking about reinforcing existing transphobia? Or are we or what is it that we're talking about exactly? Here's an additional complicating factor here. Generally, transphobic people, they aren't simply transphobic. They're not phobia towards trans people merely. They also have a phobia towards the category of trans itself, and so they generally regard people who are attracted to trans women who are male as being essentially gay. People who are attracted to trans men who are female are essentially gay because they deny the category. It doesn't seem like there's additional content being added here. Literally, all you have is a cis person fooling other people into being attracted to them because he adopted aesthetics that they find attractive, and it's humorous because it sort of lays bare that, well, actually you're it doesn't seem that you're the stated.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like you're purely attracted to someone's gender. It seems like you're attracted to certain traits within a person.
Fixedness of your sexuality is as fixed as you claimed earlier, or something like that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good steelman. Also, the idea that no one even dresses up as a woman as a gotcha has always been a bad argument, because sometimes people do. They're just not trans women.
Yeah.
Trans women are women, I guess.
So what do you all think about this?
Or an actual trans woman are doing it. It's not a dime's worth of difference.
What do you all
one
think?
person doing it receives none of the fucking fallout from furthering transphobic tropes, and the other person is doing it because they have to and faces all of the fallout anyway. The fact that you are making this argument shows me why you're not really thinking about this hard enough, and why I'm actually kind of disappointed in how you've engaged with this topic in its entirety. I thought you would at least be somewhat charitable.
Would she have like a similar attitude? Someone help me out to think this through, if this would be analogous. Would she have a similar condemnatory attitude towards a trans man who goes girl mode or something? Because I know trans men who occasionally wear like female dress up for social reasons, or just because they happen to have a lot of it because they started their transition recently. They're presenting in that case as female when they're not. In essence, they're doing exactly what Finn is doing, and sometimes they're passing really effectively. I don't know. Because again, like
Thank you very much.
it would lend to an increase in transphobia. Would it though? See, so when a trans man dresses in women's clothes, or women's coded clothes, clothes are not don't actually have a biological sex or a gender, believe it or not. They're just clothes. I guess they can be gendered, but that's slightly different. When they dress in women's clothes, they are presenting, you could argue deceptively in a benign way, as something that they're not. They're presenting as women to a broader society, when in fact they're men. Same move. Not analogous. Hiding can be self-preservation. I mean, fine.
Of course. Also, I think that a lot of ways seems to be like this. A lot like I do think that seems to be a lot of going on of, rather than we should be presenting like as we wish to what will the other people think, especially how will the transphobes use this, you know? It's like a bit worrying from my perspective, this sort of taking it into this direction.
Gay cis men could hide in a similar way, I could imagine. Potentially. I can imagine a circumstance for that. Lol, girl clothes have to... Well, I'm adding gender to them. I'm just talking about the bare fact that there's nothing written into the cosmos that says that pink textiles must go on women and not men. You know? Superman's favorite color is pink. I don't think he's canonically a trans woman, but, you know, it's not beyond the pale.
To the audience.
The most important question that we should actually ask ourselves is the most important thing for us a category, or is the most important thing to us to live, present, act the way we want to, and for other people to sort of deal with it, accept that we will dress, act, and be as we wish. Does that make sense?
His position here that like Finn doing something transphobic
what do you think?
Essentially is not the same as some
I don't
sex
think that
worker
Finn is doing anything transphobic.
Okay, what would you just?
I'm not convinced.
Yeah, she needs to establish this like hard if she's gonna.
Yeah. Like I'm not seeing it either, to be honest. I have to say I'm with Keffals on this. Like, this is not a good. This seems like trying to put more gender norms on top of gender norms. Just, I'm not sure how to feel about it.
If she's gonna make this case, and she really should have like led with that. This is transphobic because, not some nebulous. Oh, this is a cis guy fooling people into thinking he's a woman, and then pulling up the curtains.
And then transphobes will run with it and say that it's also that it's trans people. Like I don't know. Like analyzing things through the lens of a transphobe is not the best lens of analysis to begin with, in my opinion, because transphobes don't care. They will use any argument to be transphobic. You know, it's just. This is the argument that was used to exclude trans people during Stonewall to begin with, like that trans people will give ammunition to homophobes to not accept gay and lesbian people, you know? It's not good to take on the bigot and the lens of analysis, you know.
And har, it's just a prank, bro. You need more than just an assumption that we are going to intuitively interpret that as necessarily transphobic or as technically
after all the saying is, I'm here, I'm queer, like deal with it. Like not I'm here, I'm here, I'm queer, but how do we avoid not giving the biggest ammunition, you know? Like, I don't like this. We should never argue from a bigoted perspective. Why would we want that? We need to understand it for safety, but we don't want to base our views. Like, yeah, exactly. Like, we don't want to limit the expression of other people because, if you express like this, then it might possibly be used by a bigot to harm other groups of people. Like, this is not good. This sort of analysis was literally used to exclude people of color and trans people from Stonewall. riots.
Transphobia or whatever. You can try and draw those connections,
right.
But you need to establish that they're plausible, likely, and that they're actually the case. This is actually going on. Superman is a transhuman. No, Superman is a Kryptonian. He's not even a human.
True.
However, the Kryptonian...
Although he identifies as a human, that's an interesting... Speaking of Superman, that's an interesting fact that it's worth considering. Superman does identify as a human, lives as a human, considers to be one of the humans. That is the whole point of the character. That he is like a Kryptonian, an alien, like that he is different, stronger, but he is quote-unquote more human than anyone. That he considers that he identifies as human, therefore he is human. Like, that's the whole point of his character. Like, right? That Superman is not human, but he sort of is human. Even more than anyone else.
Aliens appear to still have a functioning, a living gender binary in their culture, because despite being hyper-advanced aliens, they are horribly retrograde. Okay, my thoughts so far. This Finn person, a cis man, is cross-dressing. How is that transphobic? That's the question.
Yeah.
We're waiting to hear.
Exactly.
Would you deny that?
Like, I'm literally in the exact same situation as President Sunday, you know?
He's furthering transphobic tropes?
No, I actually think that Finn is doing good at presenting a role model for gender nonconforming men and is making the world a less transphobic place with their platform.
Okay, so then if you don't think...
Also a less homophobic place, and these things are connected, right? Because, if you're, like, there's sort of like a stack of different things that people need to break down in order to be sort of receptive to accepting people's avowed gender identities, apart from how society codes them based on their genital sets when they're born.
Mm.
If you break down people's homophobia by demonstrating that what they are attracted to is contingent on a series of really quite
arbitrary,
meaningless factors ultimately.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then it becomes those factors now weigh less in terms of them willing to consider the fluidity and contingency of our gender categories. That's an important step,
Right.
and it's not accidental that the earliest treatments of trans people regard them essentially as a variation of homosexual people. Like going all the way back to the earliest highlighting of the category of gender nonconforming people, all the way back to Kraft Ebing. So
Okay.
I don't see that. There is like a thematic connection. You have somebody who's at least biologically male, fooling other people into assuming wrongly.
And of course, we have the whole topic of sex being not as simple as we like bimodal distribution of traits. That's a whole other thing, right?
That he's biologically female. And this is consistent with how transphobes view trans people very generally. Okay, but how does that contribute to exacerbating that?
Yeah. That
It's not enough to just say, oh, well...
Transphobes will just not care. Transphobes just always will treat trans women as just men. Like people, cross-dressing people or drag queens will not really change anything for the plus or for the minus when it comes to this.
Well, there's some kind of symmetry here between the two. that's not enough. You need to actually connect the dots, actually show me how this is harmful, and you need to be specific.
Yeah, exactly.
That only works if you actually do that work after, to be clear, going, huh, now you're gay, simply...
You cannot just say, I can't believe you don't agree with me, and that's it, right? You cannot.
Is harmful.
You cannot.
I agree with that part. Assuming that your audience buys it, right? If the move is to mock somebody who is insisting that they're super straight or something, or like a hetero chauvinist or whatever,
right?
Who is sort of treating straight people like they're the main characters and that everybody else is some kind of clinical deviation.
Yeah. Like it really could be potentially a good tool for analysis.
In that context, that's actually breaking down something potentially. You're not actually making the clinical diagnosis, hey, you're actually gay. They're mocking the person who is insisting, no, they're straight, and it's more healthy to be straight or whatever. It depends on like who the audience is, who the target is, right? It sounds like that's not even a thing that happens present Sunday. What are we talking about here? I agree with Keffals here. We're on the line of gender, stereotype, and presentation and identity. They're not the same thing. That's what Finn's showing. Yeah, well, that's sort of my read on it too at this point.
Yeah, I agree.
Present Sunday, most of the guys that Finn messes with are Coomers online, sexually harassing women on Omegle. Well, there you go.
Somebody saying, haha, I'm a trap. If your position is as a fucking cis man that the strays that are obviously going to be taken by the trans community, he's entitled to do that for whatever reason you're coming up with. And I mean,
she's talking about strays. What strays? You can't just say that. You need to give an example. What strays? Does anybody have like any notion of what she has in mind here by strays?
I don't know.
I still don't get how this is an issue, considering that Finn states that he is trans all the time, so he's not fooling anyone. So he's publicly, right? Of course, because we know this. So he's publicly a cis person, a cis man. He describes himself as a cis man on his wider-reaching channels, and then sort of as a prank, he goes in and finds chauvinistic, sexist, and transphobic men, or homophobic men rather.
Yeah.
And he makes a fool of them.
Right.
For something it is fitting to be made a fool of for.
Right.
I don't have an issue with that.
Yeah. I don't think that's like
I don't know why anyone would have an issue with that.
Yeah.
And he used to do this long ago, so this is recent. Okay, well why are we talking about this now then? If this is old.
I don't know either. This just exploded all of a sudden.
Does anyone here not make fun of the fact that non-normative gender expression complicates antiquated notions of sexual orientation? Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
What do we think about weaponizing trans homophobia against trans homophobes? I see how it can break down barriers, but do you think it's bigoted itself? I mean, we do that rhetorically all the time, do we not? Like, whenever you're bringing up, like, somebody who's intersex or somebody who's been sterilized or whatever as a counter to some...
Like, this is like... I don't really see what Pollypeople's like perspective is. Like I mean I see, but I don't really agree with it.
Sex essentialist notion of gender as being necessarily that which conforms to what genitals say.
Yeah, so far it's like I've said. It's a tool for breaking down certain ideas.
You know, doing the catwalk and then turning around, revealing that like you've got like, you know, male body parts or whatever, but I'm walking in knowing only what Polly said on Twitter, and it pissed me off so much that I became genuinely livid and wrote hundreds of words on the subject. should watch Demon Mama's video on, taking care of yourself or taking care of Twitter. That's how I would characterize that.
I mean, I can see why people are unreachable on this.
This argument just opens you up to such weird positions. That's the problem.
Yeah.
How?
Like, if you're gonna make this exact argument,
I think so. So why is she so angry? Pollypeople is using some flawed logic, it seems to me. Yeah. Hello all. Like, I'm not even sure why she's like so aggressive to Keffals here. Keffals is being pretty calm in this whole discussion. I'm not sure why the aggression. Like,
then why aren't you going after drag queens? It's like, oh, so you think being a woman is
Indeed.
a performance? You think you can just like dress up like a woman and do a show and dance?
Drag queens don't say I'm a
exactly. Yeah, this was my argument. Like, yeah, exactly. This is why I said before that what worries me that this argument could be very simply extended to drag queens. Hello, Titan. Hello. Like, this is exactly what I said as well. Like, we are watching the Pollypeople versus Keffals, and basically my level of knowledge about the thing is very similar to what President Sunday's was at the moment of watching it. So we are sort of at a similar level right now of knowledge when it comes to the controversy, and I don't see it. I don't see why I don't see why cross-dressing is transphobic. And she's starting to say that drag queens do not claim to be trans, but as far as I know, that person also does not claim to be trans, so I don't know.
Trap, like it's different when
what
you...
are you talking about?
That's not true. I have seen them say this.
Right.
This is not true.
Okay.
General rule of thumb, never say something to the effect, especially in a debate, never say something to the effect of, this group of people never does X. Because it's a wide world out there. Everybody can find a counterexample.
Yeah.
See, so many drag queens say I'm a trap.
Okay, but they're not like looking... The drag queen argument is so stupid because drag queens like...
Why is it... What? Why is it? That's... Oh, okay, explain.
Go out of their way to not even look like cis women. They're like caricatures, for fuck's sake. It is an art...
What? That's... Okay, I find... Why, I'm gonna be honest. I really take... I take issue with this statement that drag queens are a caricature. When did that really weird statement come from? What do you mean a caricature? Like, drag queens often take very strong expression, like some outfits can be very bombastic and strong, but so can cis women often dress in a very bombastic and expressive clothing. It's not a caricature. Like, this is very... Like, I think this is the first time I hear drag queens described as caricatures. Like, this in itself seems like a very bigoted trope that is often levied against drag queens, that they're just caricatures. I'm gonna be honest, this is a very, very... I take big issue with this statement that they're a caricature. I don't think they are a caricature at all. There's everything from ludicrousy, garbage, comedic drag to elite supermodel drag. Like, if a cis woman wears very extreme outfit, does the cis woman also become a caricature? This is nonsense. I hope Keffals will push against this whole... I hope President Sunday will push against this. I hope either of them will push against this. Like, caricature?
Artistic endeavor. What Finn's doing is...
Artistic endeavor is not a caricature.
Essentially saying, I'm a trap, and...
That's not necessarily true.
Exactly.
No, sometimes they're very much going for passing.
Yeah, of course. They do. Like, this is ridiculous to say that it's... This is ridiculous. I don't agree with this at all.
It's not just a caricature. Like, they do a lot of work.
I'm gonna say that this... I'm gonna say that what Pollypeople is saying here is much more, like, scold-worthy than what that person that did cross-dressing did. Like, calling drag queens caricatures. This is horrible. Some drag performers are also expressing aspects of their own gender ID. This is gatekeeping and shaming, and for not going all the way. Yeah, exactly, caricatures. Like, I saw a really great video about performers. Like, in Japan, there's this cafe for men who they identify as men, but dress as women. You know? There's a whole thing that they say, I am a man, I know I am a man, but I like to present and dress as a woman, you know? Of course. Like, what is like this, like, viewing this as a caricature is very bad.
It's not just a caricature. That's incorrect.
Yeah, it
winking
is.
and nodding and looking exactly like a trans woman, but saying I'm not. You know,
looking exactly like a trans woman. What does a trans woman look like exactly to you?
Well,
like exactly looking and acting like a trans woman. That's nonsense. Like, this is nonsensical. Like, basically, this is saying that cross-dressing is just bad. Period. Right? Like what? Cross-dressing is just bad from now on. And buys into the tropes. Like, I don't think this is very shaky argumentation, and I'm not sure if Pollypeople should be this angry and, you know, aggressive in a conversation like this.
Okay, so I should say a transphobic caricature of a trans...
There are trans women who get
transphobic caricature
confused for gay men in drag for drag queens, right? That's a thing, unfortunately.
Yeah, in Poland, oftentimes, I don't think just in Poland, like, the trans women were called cross-dressers, you know? Like, and that does not mean that cross-dressing should become somehow bad, you know, because bigots don't care to make certain distinctions, and just this is a wrong way to analyze these things.
There are people with like
we should not put that much weight into what bigots think.
Very, you know, pronounced male-coded features who will dress fabulously and they'll look good doing it, but they'll be mistaken.
Right.
Why? Because there isn't a default look for a trans woman or for a woman or for a drag queen or whatever. Human appearances of all attached to all categories admit of almost infinite variety. There's no.
I'd rather watch Trixie, Mata, and Katya Zamolkovichova, who are clearly doing comedic drag while also expressing themselves. Like, I will be honest. Unless it's clearly stated, I don't think it's okay to just declare something to be a quote-unquote caricature, okay? I don't think it's okay to just declare, oh, this is a caricature, you know?
There's no rule about this. This is a strange thing to lean on.
Trans woman is somebody that says, haha, I trapped you, you know, you're gay now. and is clearly like doing it to appeal to transphobic sensibilities. And what makes it problematic is because he is not trans and he doesn't suffer the consequences of those actions.
Wait, so it's if there was a trans person, like theoretically speaking, who would actually do the whole "I lied to you" and go in for the transphobic like tropes, that would be okay?
It's like there's very good reason to critique his behavior on a fucking equitable sort of don't punch down sort of basis. Like it seems relatively obvious to me that like if you are in a more privileged position, why is it acceptable for you to engage in behavior for clout and to grow your platform in ways that are obviously going to have fallout with people far more fucking far more marginalized than you and far more subject to those same sort of transphobic attacks without even, asking for it. People call me a trap and I don't even have to like, do any trapperson type shit that he does.
Okay.
So he's making it easier for them to say, you're all traps anyway. You all look the same to me. This is an easy argument.
No, it's not. This is a horrible argument, actually. Like, this was literally like I'm repeating myself. This is the logic that was used to exclude trans people during Stonewall. Like, oh, bigots, we better not include trans people because bigots will just not want to accept us, This is really bad. Like forming your arguments on the basis of what bigots will or will not do, or will not misconstrued, or
No, I don't think that. Like, I think that regardless...
Well, I guess
Well, no, because here's the crucial point. Like, the reveal by Finn is not that he has a male physique.
right.
And that therefore, haha, you found a male physique attractive. The joke that he's playing is that he identifies as a man, and he looks...
So she's just blatantly ignoring the role of drag queens in LGBT community history. Yeah, basically, yeah. Like this is I'm still the most upset about the whole calling drag queens caricatures thing in this discussion. Are we really doing cross-dressing bad thing? Yeah, it seems so. Like, so far, it does seem to be the case.
that good.
Like, I'm really...
To somebody who is ostensibly not attracted to male features. That's the joke. If it was a trans man who's doing exactly the same thing,
okay, I guess that's like what do you? Okay, all right. I guess you don't think that, but that's not a response to the critique. That's not a helpful.
To formulate my response.
All right, go ahead.
As I said, I think that transphobia is going to be a thing regardless of whether or not Finn does what they're doing, which has.
In fact, you know what it's a great retort to.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great retort to that whole "you can always tell" meme, which is hilarious when people do it to cis people by accident, and it's like,
Also, someone needs to teach Polly that condescending laughter is not a counter-argument. True.
But like quite literally, no.
Yeah, someone needs to teach Polly that condescending laughter is not a... Oh yeah, I agree. Not all drag is mere caricature. My point is the line between drag and trans is more than just fuzzy. Some drag queens are also trans, with drag being one of the ways they express. I just got back and my brain is already melting, Doc. We might have to take a break to do some raiding, and then we will finish. Like, yeah,
No, you can't, and that goes in both ways.
Like, I know that you don't think that they are caricatures, Titan, because you are more introspective than Polly seems to be.
I mean, if you just insist that gender and sex are identical anyways, it's going to be lost on you because you're operating in a very stupid space where you have an entire relevant set of categories you're just not able to process. But I go back to my original thesis. Are we for gender non-conforming people regardless of whether we're cis or trans or not? Yeah.
Exactly. That is my question. That's been my question all this time. Very strange, you know?
We also, additionally, by the way...
This sort of language is, I mean, in my opinion, this sort of language and this sort of action is taking away from us, you know? It gives, like, it's analyzing everything through what will the bigot think, basically. Let's not upset the bigots. I'm not sure I like this sort of Linus
only
thinking.
Have, we only have Finn's word, as this is the case with everybody, Finn's word that, you know, he is in fact a cis man. We just don't know. Don't know. We rely on vowels for this kind of thing.
I should say I used to do makeup for performances back in the 80s. I've talked a lot of them about exactly what they were trying to do with their look. Right. Is Keffals just glutton for punishment? Why is she subjecting herself to this?
Finn will have those you can always tell folks break down crying, yeah.
Very little to do with the trans community. Like, Finn's made it very clear, I'm not a trans person, I am just a cross-dresser. Weirdly enough, one of your mods actually said, Finn isn't gender non-conforming, a cross-dresser, or a femboy. He isn't doing this because he likes to dress this way. He doesn't dress this way unless it's for work. It's like, why is it that your community is trying to police a gender non-conforming person's expression? Why is that okay?
Yeah.
Well, I could go back to what I just said. What's not okay is furthering transphobic tropes as an edgy way to grow your platform as a cis person.
Hey.
So it does become like, see, this basically just boils down to cross-dressing is bad, because cross-dressing is something that cis people do. So cross-dressing is just not acceptable. There you go. Gender non-conformity is not acceptable, because gender non-conformity is also something that cis people do. So this is very...
you want to know, just... Here's my edgy comment for tonight.
Oh no, edgy Sunday. Oh, as he said Malay, I am going to just try to learn. It's likely that most of my opinions are yikes and I don't know. Cross-dressing is not a transphobic trope inherently. True. True. It's like, you know?
Attacking everybody in your orbit without any discrimination, any judgment, any plan for coalition building or for the health of your respective communities, of which there's a lot of bleed over between Polly and Keffals, for the sake of growing your platform by having a bombastic clash with another person of your political description, namely notable lefty trans woman on Twitch, that is also a transphobic trope. That's the whole.
Wow.
These people are only.
President Sunday going in hot. President Sunday going in hard. Notice how Polly didn't answer Keffals' question. Sunday is so right. Polly just seems to like lashing out. I am also non-binary and did drag as Frank, and further, I happen to strongly resemble a very tall Tim Curry. Although I don't experience dysphoria, I did, as Frank, feel some euphoria. Expressing myself that way was healthy for me. Yeah, and you were not a caricature. For goodness sake. Like, you were not a caricature as you did it. Interesting. This is you, Bactor. I guess we are watching Titan Uranus's photos. Interesting. Like, this should actually be this sort of discussion between two content creators about a topic like this should be a calm conversation with a lot of introspecting, with a lot of analysis going on. Like, it would not be a big debate, but it would be a lot more useful as a conversation, I think.
In it for the...
It's like President Sunday says, it's for coalition building. This should be a perfect moment. This should be a opportunity for more coalition building, in my opinion. Discussing this sort of thing, breaking it down. Like, even if the two people disagree, like, analyzing the arguments. I don't...
Their own aggrandizement or whatever. It's all about their own image. That's a transphobic trope.
Yeah.
Nobody's attacking any of these people for that, and they shouldn't. But it's the same line of argumentation. It's like...
You don't look alike anymore.
This entire category, with no fine-grained distinctions within it, because they don't even acknowledge the validity of the category itself. It's just, as far as the vast majority of transphobic people are concerned, and they outnumber all of you 100 to 1. They outnumber all of us 100 to 1. Homophobic people as well, etc., etc., etc. They will not care. They will use the arbitrary lines that you have.
I think some people are just addicted to anger. Polly really wants to start a fight. Well, it's okay. You're like here in the soothing zone. You are today. You are in the Haze space. You know? You are in the soothing zone. You get addicted to being soothed.
We have thrown amongst ourselves in order to one-up each other, in order to make like little incremental gains in our online profile, to destroy all of us, flatten us all down.
I don't know. I think there are better ways to grow your platform. I think you can grow your platform on coalition building and solidarity and on positive input, you know? I think I can. Like, I don't think my growth is that explosive and huge, but I think my growth is fairly stable and fairly okay. You know? I think we will build this platform on coalition building and solidarity. And clashing with Keffals is a surefire way to get attention as well. Is Polly really going to claim innocence here? Alright.
And I can say that because it's not just trans people at that level of resolution. The slope has remained slippery, so to speak.
You're just going to completely ignore that. That it's like...
What are you talking about? Are you trying me to answer for somebody what somebody said? I mean, fuck, do you want me to go through every dumb fuck? I mean, I don't even think that's a bad point necessarily. But do you want me to... Do you want me to go through... Hold on.
Like, okay,
you want me to answer for everything that everybody has said that you've sort of said? Get the fuck out of here. Why don't you just sort of...
Wait, when did
What's happening here now? I don't even know.
I say that?
Why
I
don't
never
you...
said that.
Why don't you engage with what I'm saying?
Like, what is this conversation, right? All of a sudden,
or I could explain to you why that statement on Twitter may actually have some merit, but it's going to have a more nuanced discussion. But we can't even get there when you are unable to accept that somebody who does transphobic tropes as a cis person has problematic content. Like, if we can't get there, then we're not even at stage one. Like you're sort of making yourself completely unable to understand the critique at all.
Is
at
a
that
gender
point.
non-conforming person cis?
oh, this is a good question. Yeah, what a blatant little snowman. Your mods are not some random people. They work for you. Like, that's more. They volunteer for you, right? They align with you. They align with how you think. Like, they're not detached from you. They are a part of what you represent, you know? You sort of, they are under you in a way, so you take responsibility for them, you know? They're under your wing.
Like, where are we drawing the
don't-
line on what cis is?
Finn is not a trans woman. Finn is not going to be.
There are people who are not trans women or trans men who are not cis.
Yeah, non-binary people.
Here's one of the upshots of the fact that gender is not actually determined, or should not be regarded as being determined in a prescriptive sense by your genital set growing up.
Right.
The binary of there only being two is arbitrary.
Yeah.
We've already separated gender identity and expression from genital sets. The insistence on there only being two is a continued reference to those sets. You are still giving them credence. Why? Why would you?
Exactly.
Those are the things that people are using to insist that you were born with this organ, therefore you are destined for work, war, and economic slavery. Or you were born with these organs, so domestic slavery, no work, no war, depending on where you are and when you are. And you need to wear giant frilly outfits that are open at the bottom. Why would you insist on this? Because that's what you're doing. If you're insisting that there is no in between.
New Wells. I'm not going to pretend I watched them for their nuanced takes, but they've said some things that show they have opinions on this.
Well, what's suspending the binary? It's the sex organs. You're still falling into the same trap. That's unfortunate phrasing, but you get the idea. Like, is Demon Mama not allowed to go hunting? Does she have to only wear, like, the geisha makeup? Or whatever that was? She looked good in it, by the way.
Demon Mama. Okay.
Does Doe have to wear antlers all the time? You know? Like,
Oh my gosh.
oh, I'm gonna get myself in trouble. My theory of gender gives space for multiple types of cis people, just like multiple types of cis people. That's interesting. Just like there's variants in trans people, binary dysphoric. Well, multiple types of cis people. I suppose you could be like you could be sort of intersex and identify with that in a gendered sense, but I don't know.
I mean, you could say that a very gender conforming cis person and a very gender non-conforming person are two sort of different types of cis people, right? I think there's a case to be made here. I don't think it's unreasonable to. Yeah.
Why you would ascribe a gender to that in the first place. Like, gender includes things like what you typically are expected to dress as, what...
Incoming classic Lucy joke. Okay? Listen. Listen carefully to my joke. What a bold take from President Sunday. Yay! A bold take from President Sunday. There you go. I have made my joke.
what vocations you're expected to have. You're sort of like different kinds of social expression. To a certain extent, to a certain extent, even just invoking these at all is like super question begging, given we've already taken these steps to show how all these things are super arbitrary. That's why I have a lot of sympathy towards the gender abolition stance, almost categorically. I
think we should just be able to be ourselves 100%.
I think we're putting our finger on something when we're talking about gender. I think there are like different types of personalities where it's appropriate to not, for example, send somebody to die horribly in war solely on the basis that they were born with a penis, as if this is like an adequate way to judge whether or not that's an appropriate position to put somebody into. It actually gets really horrific when you think about it. People, like, what's the chauvinist attitude towards putting women in war? They hate the idea of how.
I'm noticing nobody's expressing being super, like, entertained with my joke. Like, I'm not sure if I'm seeing some bigotry, okay? I'm seeing some trans woman not funny, okay? I know. I don't know. It's like, I don't know if I don't like this, okay? I said a super funny joke and nobody's laughing. I don't know.
Having, like,
Not good.
gentle, caring individuals being torn limb from limb by cruel strangers using industrial machinery. But what if you're doing that anyways, and you're allowing yourself to because you just don't give a shit so long as they've got a long dangly bit between their legs?
Oh no.
It gets a little insane.
It does,
you know?
Doesn't it? Like, Pollypeople is just incorrect in here. Like, this is just not correct. I didn't even know President Sunday had male pattern baldness. I just thought he just shaved his head. Okay? I don't think President Sunday is suffering from male pattern baldness. Like, he had a regular amount of hair on his head and before shaving. I don't know. I don't think he does.
Harmed by the furtherance, or at least will be far less harmed than trans people by the furtherance of transphobic tropes.
Oh.
Okay.
That's the problem.
Okay, but does that make Finn cis?
Huh?
So like a non.
Okay, so I don't know why you're playing word games with me here.
I'm not
Finn
playing a word
is
game.
not a trans person.
No, but Finn is not gender conforming almost by definition.
Yeah,
Finn
of
is
course.
cross-dressed.
Finn, yeah, exactly. Gender non-conforming, exactly.
Cross-dressing, that's what they're not conforming to. They're crossing, right? They're not dressing as men do, right? That's the point.
Yeah, gender non-conforming is not trans, but gender non-conforming is, well, gender non-conforming, right?
Oh, or at least
I never
not.
said this.
Not okay. Then what are you talking about then? I mean, are you trying to have it both ways here?
I'm asking you to define what cis is, because you're trying to use Finn as cis as a way to dismiss.
Yeah,
Finn.
but he says he's cis. He says he's cis, and he puts up on his, and the way he proves he's cis is he pins on his like Twitter or whatever.
President Sunday might want to take a look at the content. It seems like he's assuming it's something different. He just makes fun of dressing as a girl. He's not fooling people. Maybe new viewers for 2 seconds. Well, I'm allowing for that, right? That's not. I'm.
I don't know.
That's fine. I was running with the assumption early on that he was doing this for a sustained period of time. But I also honestly I don't care. I just don't care. I don't. She hasn't drawn an actual like causal
President
chain
Sunday is
where this produces harm.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Here's my birth certificate, and I'm a man. Like one that
This is not a very useful conversation.
has a two-prong effect. Is one, it says that I'm cis, but it also winks and nods to his trans audience. Look, I care about my assigned gender at birth just like you do. Like.
It's not uncommon for trans women to try cross-dressing before identifying as trans. That's true.
I mean, like, you can't. I mean, come on. Like, are we
Come
gonna be stupid
on.
and let's just sort of like Let him
Come
have it
on.
both ways
No,
just
I'm not
because he's a
being
large
stupid.
content creator.
What does it
No, I'm not
mean?
being stupid.
I
Like,
mean,
think it's
I hate
incredibly
being
offensive
dogpiled
that-
as much as the next person, right? Like,
Right, but it's like,
Here's a question. So, Finn reveals that he's actually a cis man, right?
Okay.
What about a very passing trans woman, who reveals she has a dick? That happens, right?
Okay.
That happens. In fact, that's even played up by certain people who are in online sex work.
Yeah, what is she saying?
Like, by the way, like that would feed into the same trope, would it not? Because if you are a transphobe and you already deny the category, then really it's the bare fact of having specific organs, the revelation of specific organs that are not telegraphed by your clothing, which makes gendered clothing seem really strange, doesn't it, when you think about it that way? It's like, this is a penis shirt. For the love of God, Titan, do not clip that.
you're
Well,
willing
it's been
to,
clipped.
with your community and your mods. Those are your mods
Titan has clipped this.
who are just like,
I
okay,
already
I
know
can
from the
police
past.
behavior of gender nonconforming people. It's completely okay to do. And when I asked you about this, you just get angry and say, "Oh,
Well-
you think I can police everything? You think that I can just control everything?" But it's like, no. These are the people who moderate your community.
Yeah,
You have a
exactly.
responsibility for that. They
Yeah.
represent
Well,
you.
okay,
They do.
Okay, but hold on a second. Like the
Peter says in his old content he's laughing along with people being transphobic. Well, that would be a good point of critique.
True.
Criticize that. That'd be good. Like abetting that kind of thing. That's not cool. What we're talking about here, inconsequential.
essential argument here is not changed, and that tweet is essentially in line with what I'm saying. Like you
You're
can't,
saying that
you
Finn
can't
is
hold
not
on.
a cross-dresser.
Could you let me finish? The essential problem, like whether or not he's a
We're in some like non-canon.
I know somebody clipped this. I know somebody made a clip out of this, okay? We will be taking a break in 5 minutes, okay? Is that okay? Because I need to meet with the team. And I think we will be continuing this reaction next time. Tomorrow, maybe. But I think we will watch 5 more minutes of this and then we will go do some gaming! Okay? Is that okay? Because I have to meet with people. Could you let me finish? She says, not letting Keffals finish. I mean, I have noticed it's 1 hour 20 minutes 4 seconds. We are right. This is the timestamp right now. 1:20:04. So you know, what do you call it? What do you call it? Yeah, I have noticed a little bit of a pattern of Pollypeople saying, "Will you let me talk?" Always. Like, I think it's situation agnostic. I think she just always says this. Could you let me finish?
Sidequel OVA, aren't we? I'm taking Keffals' side. I am bald. What the fuck is going on here?
cross-dresser is saying he's not a cross-dresser, by the way. I assume the sentiment behind that is that what he's doing is essentially appealing to the transphobic sensibilities of the average person and furthering transphobic tropes for content. That's not what cross-dressers do.
What is the transphobic trope? Is the transphobic trope just that people who wear dresses can have dicks sometimes?
Exactly.
That's not a transphobic trope. That's the fact of trans women who haven't had bottom surgery.
Yeah.
That's just a thing. Or even some of them who've had bottom surgery, because there's no rule that says, well, some places there is a rule, unfortunately, but there's no rule that says that you need to get the whole thing gone, right?
Cross-dressers dress in gender non-conforming ways and play with gender because they are expressing
Oh, my hair wasn't lost. It was stolen.
themselves. They are not trying to grow their platform at the expense of more marginalized people, right? Just to sort of say, Polly, you're trying to police people's
No, these are
presentation is
two
incredibly bad
completely
faith.
different-
Like, well,
It's just two completely different
you
arguments
are.
you're sort of smashing together.
What happened to your hair, homie? So when you get like really stressed, like really, really stressed,
I get stressed.
it can put your hair follicles into a resting state. And so, like last week, I was like, "What is going on here?" It's like I can sort of see my scalp through this. That's unusual. And like I have a high hairline. I've always had one, but like this was weird. So I was like, okay, it could be stress, could be something else. I'm not going to do this shit where I try to hide it. I'm just going to shave it really short and we'll see what we're working with here. And we didn't have a guard on, so it went all the way down to the skin. So it's just... And I had no idea what my scalp looked like under this, so, I mean, thank God I did not inherit my father's bone structure. Because my mother's got the, has the money skull.
Well, no, that's what you're doing. So
Okay. So I will go to the toilet now, and then we will continue with, let's go. We do this like regulars. We change the title. President Sunday is drinking. Canned drink. I am drinking as well. Our level of knowledge about the whole thing is similar. I think we are having similar takes. So now it is time. You need to know that we don't agree with Pollypeople and that we agree with Keffals. Or I so assume. I assume that we do. Okay, let's go. Let's go, come on, gigglers.
so like,
How am I doing that?
well, you're having a difficult time trying to like explain why furthering transphobic tropes is not that bad, and the only thing you're saying is I disagree, and you can't.
Actually, you're having big problem with establishing what tropes are being furthered and why they are even like tropes. You just say, you just basically assert, and then are angry that people don't agree with your assertion. This is what's happening. Let's get President Sunday back in here so that he can call in and tell me what is up. Okay? Come, President Sunday. Come on. Let's go.
Prove that, which is wrong, and you should never force some fucking
No, what
member
I
of a
think is-
marginalized
what I
community to
think is that
prove
you're
that
trying to say
furthering
that-
tropes that are harmful to
No,
them
no,
are
no,
somehow
no, no.
harmful to them. I mean, but
Like,
now
what
you're
you're trying to
pivoting
do
to
is
something
pretend
else.
No, you have to establish that tropes are being established, you know? It's like silly. We're literally going into the territory of cross-dressing is just bad. Cross-dressing furthers transphobic tropes, so no one should be able to cross-dress because it's like a transphobic trope. Because there is a trope, there is a genuinely a transphobic trope that all trans people are just cross-dressers. So what? Should cross-dressing be now forbidden across the board? Because it's like a transphobic trope. Like, that makes no sense to me. Do you know? Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? You know? Like, no, it's really fine. But we have to do this. We have to do this. Like, it is my... I can't believe. Not even my... Even the Lucy Haze soothing experience is enough to keep you in the chat. Well, this is understandable. But we have to go through this. We have to, like, you know, we need to. It's our duty as, like the, well, this is my duty. As the person that needs to give her 2 cents. After all, President Sunday is like a cis person. So it's like, but I'm really so perplexed as to where this whole argument is going. Like, Pollypeople has already, again, called drag queens caricatures. Like, this is like, I think this is the most shocking thing that I did not expect to hear today. That to hear drag queens being called caricatures.
That trans people are somehow the arbiters of gender nonconformity when other people can express gender nonconformity however they like.
No, I mean,
Yes.
no,
Yeah.
that's a straw man. Like, trans people are the most able to detect and are the most likely to fall victim to the
detect what? What? I don't. This is very bad.
The furtherance of transphobic tropes.
That's silly.
Yeah, that is silly.
That's
right?
no.
That is silly, and it leads to basically, as I said, all cross-dressing is now banned because cross-dressing is like a trope. Like, this is... I really don't like where this is going.
Come on, Polly, you're smarter than this. What, so you have an honorary sociology degree because you're trans? That doesn't make any sense. It takes a tremendous amount of work and study to like accurately predict what the social consequences of a thing are going to be. And frankly, you're not even going to be able to. It's all guesswork. This is like...
We're watching Lucy react to President Sunday reacting to Pollypeople versus Keffals? Yeah, exactly, Gabrielle. You are doing the greatest thing in the universe. You are hearing my deep, deep takes. It's like giggling. But let's go. There is quite a bit left for us. It's, maybe President Sunday could play Professor Xavier.
That's stupid. That's just stupid. Like, what? So you come from...
Press 1 if you think President Sunday would be a good Professor X. President Sunday would be a good Professor X. Okay. Press 2 if you think that President Sunday would not be such a great Professor X. There we go. Maybe I should maybe I should start like a poll in the, later. Today I will start a poll at the YouTube community thing. Let's go. Oh yeah, it's also the Batman streamers, true. Is it because President Sandy is a good detective?
From a colonized territory or from a colonized people, and therefore you have a de facto systematic understanding of how like these relationships play out. That's not true at all. No, you have to do the work like everybody else to understand things. It's just how it is. You have an advantage perspectively insofar as you understand to a certain degree from your limited space what it is like to be of your category in particular.
True.
From a first-person vantage. That is an advantage.
First-person view.
That's an advantage that I don't have in trying to like judge.
I also have this first-person view. I also have this vantage. You also have a hilarious rogues gallery. Does Lucy have a hilarious rogues gallery? Like, tomfoolery is in my rogues gallery. And BE. These are my two antagonists. I only have two people in my rogues gallery. Rogues Gallery. Rose Gallery. Okay. All right.
You know, the reality on the ground of like what's going on with respect to the people who are
It's
involved
me.
in these sociological processes. But this doesn't give you superior judgment with respect
I
to
have superior judgment.
sociological effects of some given performance. That doesn't follow at all.
That others use to further whatever interests they have.
Whatever interests they have.
No.
The interest of a cross-dresser. Like, this is like so bizarre. This is such bizarre language to further their own interests. All of us are drinking something right now. All of us are drinking. Pollypeople drinking. President Sunday drinking. And of course, I am drinking. We are all drinking.
No, it's just
No,
you're not even
okay.
responding to what
No.
I'm saying.
True.
Well, I mean, you're trying to straw man me, and you're getting frustrated that I'm not falling for the straw man. I get that, but like,
I don't even think
I
you know what
see.
straw man
I
means.
see.
I'm not.
Like I was also
okay,
in high
I'm
school
not
debate.
sure.
It's fine.
Okay, I'm not sure. Okay, I'm not sure where to go with this because I feel like I might, I might be being owned in the marketplace of ideas by the high school debate lord here. But
You might be. You might be.
Yeah.
That's a possibility.
What's the beef here? I have no horse in this race since I've had awful experiences with both of them. LOL. Keffals drinking? I don't know. That I don't know. The beef here is that basically Polly is saying that person that dressed as a girl recently is being transphobic, and Keffals is say he's not being transphobic, and Polly seems to be entering into the territory of cross-dressing is just bad. You know? Basically. We're entering the territory basically of cross-dressing is just bad. And that's not good.
but like
What?
again, the fact remains. The fact remains that when members of the trans community have a valid criticism here about a non-trans content creator who has made their fucking
Okay, Semaphore, if you want me to look at the content, send me the content. I don't know these people. Like, just send it to me. This is embarrassing. This is what kills me too, right? Like, look, she could have the exact...
Yeah, the Finster discourse. I don't know. I don't even know that much about this film. I'm as in the dark about the person as... I'm as in the dark about this as President Sunday is. So this is interesting. Because it's like two people in the dark watching the video.
same position that she does. Maybe problematic for all the same reasons. I think I even criticized something that Keffals said earlier in this conversation. I can't remember what it was. And I think I probably changed my tune about it, but like, just talk like a normal person. Just talk.
True.
Keffals has been, certainly by comparison to Polly here, Keffals has just been engaging in a conversation.
True, I agree, actually.
She didn't give me that kind of courtesy. Granted, I came in really hot anyways. And justly so, in my opinion. But she apologized for that, and we're cool now. But like, just talk.
I came in
She's
hot
not on an
too.
attack on Polly. They're
Because
talking
I'm
about
hot.
something that is, to a certain minimal degree, separate from both of them. This is just an issue.
I come in hot because I'm hot. When you're hot, and if you're hot, you come in hot, okay? And Lucy's hot. Finn maybe made some kind of cringy tweets from the perspective of someone who isn't actually trans, which gets over exaggerated. Finn somehow like approximating the trans experience. Yeah, but Finn never claimed to be trans. He's just cross-dressing. Not all, like you can just like you have to realize people can just cross-dress. If you cross-dressing doesn't mean that you claim or that you are trans, you know?
That they can work through. They're not determining the fate of Finn here and now. There is no actual consequence to this conversation, except if one of them destroys their credibility by being completely unreasonable, which she's doing, and needlessly. There's no advantage to doing it.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know why the aggro. I don't understand the aggro from Pollypeople. People took issue with some of the baitier tweets like the fake transition before after, but it's like pretty small potatoes, and Finn has done more for the wider trans community than Polly ever will. That's interesting. A lot of it is just for gatekeeping. Yeah, like, I'm really not, like, once again, just in this conversation, debate, whatever this is, Pollypeople said that, Pollypeople said that drag queens are caricatures. Okay? So I don't know. Remember, Polly is very much of the side of the carceral tanky leftoids, which Keffals has broken away from a little bit. So not surprising she'd have this kind of take. Oh, okay. Right. Interesting. Like, this was like I'm still, like, I can't get over this. Like, the fact that she called drag queens caricatures. I can't get over this.
Entire platform from day one, essentially.
The PS shave his eyebrows as well as his head. I have extremely thick eyebrows. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, actually, the thick eyebrows of President Sunday is why I have judged President Sunday to be the perfect candidate to play Professor X, because Professor X, as you all might know, also has extremely thick eyebrows. It's true. If you don't believe me, Google Professor X from the comic book. Really big eyebrows. Please trust me on this. If you don't trust me, then I don't know who you can trust in anything.
Although also like very deep eye sockets. It's the Nordic genes.
You know,
I am the
So you're forgiven.
transphobic type trap content and the like. Saying, look, I think you are for your own interests, furthering the very kind of
yeah, but to me it shouldn't even matter if drag queens are. It shouldn't matter if drag queens are like trans or not trans, you know? People should be able to express themselves, to experiment with outfits, to do things as they wish, you know? Yeah. Like, I don't think it should matter. Like, drag queens are not caricatures of anything. This is so bad. Like, and funny that you mention people of color. It's like what I said before. Like, during Stonewall, people of color and trans people were just excluded because people said, what will the bigots think, you know? This is a horrible lens to go. Like, very bad.
tropes and very kind of beliefs that are harmful to people like me. Like,
can we have a PS stream where non-awful trans people can talk about trans stuff? It's been a little tiring seeing all the trans discourse
Yeah, you can have me on President Sunday.
filtered through Poly lately. My Discord server, unbeknownst to many, is owned by a trans man, is moderated by more than one trans woman, I believe, and is a a massively trans-friendly space with some of the smartest and most talented trans people in existence. I think I've scooped them all up, to be totally honest with you, judging by the quality of my intro music.
I'm here. Yeah, I bet he's talking about me, the most talented trans person. I bet he's talking about me. Yeah, white trans girls like Polly who know nothing about our history or refuse to engage with it piss me off. Yeah, yeah. Like, this is like, yeah, I bet he's talking about me. Mate.
Wednesday stuff is fantastic.
What about you? Didn't mention me?
It is super
Lucy Haze, the biggest Polish trans creator.
disappointing that some of the larger trans content creators, which I hasten to add are much smaller than the trans quote unquote content creator who Finn is, are completely unwilling to hear that this critique. I mean, it's super disappointing. And instead, like, you're just straw manning me and saying something that a mod said.
You know what's also a good space? As a consequence of like the recent bridge we've built with Demon Mama and her community and Doe as well. Demon Mama's community is fantastic. All the best of Vosh's community bled over there. And
what about my community? The Lucy has a pond.
Like there's a lot of similarity in the tone between my server and Demon Mama's. We're in the weirdest timeline, people. We really are. I don't know how the hell we ended up here. I'm absolutely sympathetic to Keffals in a debate. We're friends with Demon Mama. What is going on?
And of course, there's Lucy Haze. But Lucy Haze is like the shadowy Hokage. Lucy Haze does not get mentioned by name. That's a shame. That's a shame. We're calling out President Sunday, but it's okay. President Sunday hopped in. President Sunday hopped in for stream today, just as I started Final Fantasy. Oh my gosh. Oh no.
Which of you made a deal with Satan? Fess up.
Completely out of the context of what that we're talking about right now.
Yeah, I mean, your community seems to really have an issue with gender nonconforming people.
I mean, you could keep lying and saying that. No, hold on a second. You're lying now. You're lying.
I have the receipt. I mean, I have the receipt right here. It's just like, here's your mod.
Okay,
interesting. That's really strange. I mean, Pollypeople here is basically doing arguments that amount to cross-dressing is bad, so I don't know. The pond is the best community, okay? The pond, the giggling pond.
All right, so like you're
Keffals is not lying. We are growing. We're actually, yeah, we are growing, and we are doing some restructuring on the Discord because we had some. Yeah, there are big changes coming to the Discord as well to make it more friendly.
Literally straw manning. They're like, one of your mods, Polly, says this, and I'm going to interpret this way, and I'm going to ignore everything you said, and then hold that against you.
I mean, you were in the same.
You basically say that cross-dressing is bad, and that you literally said that drag queens are caricatures. So I'm not sure you have a leg to stand on. Yeah. I have noticed that Polly is pretty toxic. Like, it's hard not to notice at some point.
Conversation. You could have told your mod not to do that.
If she, as the head, presumably, of her moderators, allowed a statement to go unchallenged, or worse, ratified it, gave agreement to it, laughed at it approvingly, whatever, then it's perfectly fair, pending some...
Like, what is this whole... these are the spicy convos we all love. Like, this is pretty sad in my opinion. I don't know.
signal action by Polly that no, you've misread this. Maybe I made a mistake in not being sufficiently loud in my condemnation of this statement, but this is not representative of our community. That's the move she needs to make.
Exactly.
Not just like laugh this off as if she has a reputation at this juncture for actually taking these things seriously and being reasonable and engaging in like constructive collaboration to improve the space, because that's simply not what she's done. The one case where she's done this that I've seen was with respect to Loner Box, and credit to her for that. But her interactions with everybody else have been ridiculous.
Yeah. And she's very aggressive for no reason. Those are not conversations. Those are just, those are just fights.
And speaking of clout chasing, like, she is single-handedly helping to give Will a lifeline. She is continuing to give him content. Will's entire appeal, Will and his channel, for the uninitiated, Will and his channel's entire appeal at this juncture, and it pains me to say it because on some level I feel bad for the guy because I think he's completely out of his depth. Will's entire appeal is that he is abused and made fun of by basically everybody he engages with because everybody else has more self-awareness than him. All Polly has to do to stamp him out forever and his incredibly irresponsible activities is just ignore him. But she goes for it because it's content. All of this is content. She's fighting with Keffals right now instead of building.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting that I said it, and literally seconds later, President Sunday said the same thing. This is all just content, fighting, like engagement, numbers. This is, I don't know. This is so bad. This is so bad for the whole thing, long term, short term, any term. They should be talking about this. This should be a very calm conversation with exchanging of arguments, maybe some retrospecting about what it means, about, how sexuality is, how gender is. This should be like a discussion, not some weird fight. President Sunday is very correct here. This is just doing content for content's sake to get more engagement.
Building bridges and like moderating her community and making her community one that can actually collaborate with other people. So that
yeah, exactly. Collaboration, love and solidarity, which happens to be the year of Lucy has it this year, the year of solidarity and love, This is basically what I've set out this year to be, the year of solidarity. So this is very disappointing. But this is very encouraging that there are people that have started this year and set out the goal to make it a year of solidarity in a sense. So I am glad that I have chosen to make the year like this in an atmosphere like this that is brewing.
Actually have some kind of positive effect on the world as a community. She's seeking out bombastic
debates, fights,
blood sports.
Yeah. No, this is not incorrect.
Good for content. Like, hey, it got me watching it, but it's not helping anybody. Whose will? Exactly. Indeed.
Okay, all right. So I need to
Will is the person that keeps getting ahead of me in subs, and then I get ahead of him, and then etc.
answer for every straw man interpretation that you come up with about somebody that's from my community.
If they're a moderator, yes, you're the captain of the ship.
Yeah.
And then you're going to hold that against me.
Of course, literally. You are the captain of the ship. You are responsible for what's going on, for the failings of your moderators, for the failings, like the responsibility is yours. Just as the responsibility for whatever things happen, like in the giggle chord and other things are on me at the end of the day, right? I take responsibility for that. I cannot just say, oh, it's just a person here. It's just a person here. I cannot, do or say anything. It's not how that works.
Moderators.
You are just coming
This
up.
is why I very wisely gave away my community to a trans man at the beginning of of my channel's history. That's a joke. Ambrose is actually the best thing that's happened to that channel. He's single-handedly made it the space that it is. I could not have managed that.
But he's like, I interacted with him only a few times. Really nice interactions. It's really, like, really nice.
With another way to silence criticism at this point. Like, you're not going to say, Polly, you're just jealous.
No.
Polly, instead...
Single-handedly is wrong. We have a fantastic mod team that has also been key and instrumental. Not also been, but has been instrumental.
Right, it's true. I actually need more bigger team on the Google card. But that's okay. I am in the middle of working. Things are about to get really nice on the guild card. We'll look forward to it. You know? I don't know if you're on the Giggle card Sister Rose, but yeah, join up.
You get it.
Probably won't regret.
I did not make that community. I did attract a certain kind of person, and I'm proud of that. We have like a very high quality of membership overall, and I believe I definitely played a role in that. But in terms of like actually maintaining and structuring and policing the space and making it and keeping it what it is, that's entirely them. It's not me.
Your community is terrible.
The majority of this conversation has been me asking you questions and you getting mad at me asking.
Yeah, I agree. That is not okay.
Questions.
Well, I don't think that's an accurate representation of the discussion because your questions don't really follow from the discussion. You just, like... So I ask again, do you think that I will say this the most gently.
Single-handedly is wrong because single-handed is an adverb. Your dentist does not say open widely. Well, you clearly don't know my dentist.
Or I will ask this in the most gentle way that I can.
Is it the same thing about furthering transphobic tropes? Because when I asked about when trans people do the same thing, you say this is fine, but they have more to do with the trans community. They have a higher duty to represent the trans community.
Wait,
so it's weird that
so
you're not
you think?
your own
Wait a second. Are you saying that that trans people have a higher obligation to like control their potential like furtherance of transphobic tropes than transphobes do that are not in the trans community?
Well, what do you mean the transphobes? Like, this is quite interesting language because it implies that the cross-dressing person is a transphobe, right?
Transphobes? Are you talking about?
Stop laughing, Polly.
No, I'm just trying to say, like, what you said is trans people have to behave themselves, essentially. And I'm like, wait a second, for what? Wait. Trans people have to behave themselves because, and like, somebody like Finn or...
Polly, look deep into my eyes. You're doing the will thing. Don't do the will thing.
Or whatever, or even a transphobic person can do whatever they want because they're not trans. Like, this is fucking brain disease.
That's not the argument. I'm saying that if you're a trans
try again then. Let me know. What is it? Go ahead.
If you're a trans person... And
this is literally like... President Sunday has already described it. Like...
You have a larger platform. You do have an obligation to some extent in order to make sure that you're doing a good enough job representing trans people as a whole, because like a lot of people are going to see you and that's going to be their first...
I think what Keffals is saying is fair when it comes to public figures, right? That's fair when it comes to public figures, in my opinion.
The first person they see that's trans.
Yeah.
But that's the essential argument, is the person who doesn't know anything is going to think, because they don't really understand the nuance in the way that you do, or a lot of people do, is that Finn is not actually trans representation. So when he does trap
Finn
related,
never
hold on,
tries
let me
to.
finish for fuck's sake.
Yeah, so basically the argument here is cross-dressing is just bad.
What? I didn't say this. I said like it's quite
Oh.
obvious, by the way, that
Why is she so hostile?
She's been like that from the start. Like I've been like yeah, she is hostile for no reason. There is absolutely no reason why this conversation is being as hostile as it is. Right? It's like there is like no need, no reason for this. Well, Rose Muley, that person that talked about the condoms, like Rose Muley also hates cross-dressing. Like, what is this strange? What is this strange attack on gender nonconformity? Ridiculous. Only look good against LB because he was literally showing his entire foot in his mouth. Well, she wasn't nearly as hostile against Lonerbox, which is really bizarre. Like, I don't know. Like, I first saw Pollypeople in the debate with Lonerbox, and I actually thought that she was a pretty calm person and not aggressive, but she's just like this all the time, and it's pretty disappointing. Yeah, she did. She was very composed in the Lonerbox thing.
I don't like, even if like you've had like a really hostile and vicious interaction on Twitter,
like, it's ridiculous. You could really extend this argument to, like Keffals did, like to drag queens, but her response to this was no, drag queens do not count because they are caricatures? Like, I don't know. Like, just let people be themselves. Like, what's the problem? What's the problem?
like,
I don't get it. Like, I always assumed that a member of a marginalized community would best understand that we should fight for all sorts of people to be able to be themselves. Right? And of course, I am assuming as a baseline that the identity is not hurting anyone, you know?
when you're having like a live conversation, you at a certain level have to like reset, the game a little bit, because this is a new mode of communication. You're like, it's a venture to try and see if you can't have like a different type of conversation in this format. If it's a repeat of the same thing, then, well, I mean, if you're against clout, Polly, I can't imagine what else you're doing this for, if this is simply a reiteration of something that's already taken.
She got clapped by Vosh immediately because he told her that right-wingers think she's cross-dressing, that her support of gender, that we support gender conformity. Yeah, like, exactly, Tyler, exactly. I even said this today. Like, transphobes and bigots don't care. Like, to transphobes, every, like, trans person is a trope, a crossdresser, no matter if crossdressers exist or not.
place elsewhere.
Ridiculous.
Keffals has been
Keffals has been really good in this conversation, really patient, really calm. And Keffals, keep in mind, has this reputation of being abrasive, you know? Which is like, yeah.
uncharacteristically
Oh, there you go. Uncharacteristically.
generous and accommodating in this conversation. And she's spoken far less than Polly had.
But I think Keffals has said recently that she would just try to be a little more calm, and I think this might be like the effect of this attempt, right? This reeks of the no person who isn't explicitly openly out as queer, trans, in queer spaces perspective, which gatekeeps the exploring, questioning, and not out people. True, exactly.
I don't know who she thinks she's talking to. Okay, let's think this through for a second. What is Polly's logic here? Not in terms of the argument. We know what the argument's logic is. What is feeding into these rhetorical decisions? I don't know, first of all, obviously. I'm making some inferences, but let's make some inferences. What have been her successful engagements to wit? She has, with Will, I don't think with me, maybe a little bit with me. I don't know what the reception was from people in her sphere. The Loner Box one was successful. The Loner Box conversation versus this one, night and day.
Yeah, of course.
She was astonishingly diplomatic and patient in that conversation. And she killed it as a result. With Will, didn't need to be.
Gender performance shouldn't be tied to clothing, and as long as it is, drag is a queer activity and a protest against gender conformity. True, Tyler. Exactly.
Because Will was cartoonishly vile.
You're right.
To a point where I still have difficulty computing that as being like his actual stance, not the result of gross incompetence, which is a flaw on my end, I suspect, because I'm probably giving him undue charity.
Yeah.
With me, she did the exact same thing with Will, but it was also like it was
Soothing voices.
undermotivated, and so it simply hindered conversation. In this particular case, this is somebody who is not just an ally. This is somebody who, from a purely cynical vantage point, if you have a positive working relationship with this person, you can actually become efficacious. You can actually get an audience, and you can actually start to help to rally a very large community around these issues, and to interfere where you believe that there are things that are being ignored, things that are being overly emphasized, or mistakes are being made. She is choosing instead to be reflexively hostile.
Yeah.
Why? Well, I can only assume she's choosing to be reflexive.
I can only assume before President Sunday says anything. In my opinion, it's the content game. It's the content game. It's wanting to fight. It's wanting to get the engagement. And we will see what President Sunday thinks. But I think that's the answer. I dream of a day that my son's clothing section is considered a non-political statement regardless of choice. True. Like, people should just be able to do whatever makes them feel good, you know? That should be the norm.
Flexibly hostile because she's making two assumptions. The first one is that if she quote-unquote beats Keffals, this turns to her favor in some way.
Good content.
If this is what her thought process is, she's very mistaken. I'm not saying it is, I don't know, but she's very mistaken. The second one is she feels like her competence and her judgment are being directly scrutinized by this conversation.
Yeah, but that is only if you're treating the conversation as an argument and not as exploration of ideas, this sort of conversation should be Um, this corner conversation should be the exploration of ideas, not an argument. It should not be an argument, especially between two people that are from the same community.
To beat Keffals in order to protect herself that way. That is also a mistake. What she actually needs to do, especially given Keffals' own reputation bluntly, what she needs to do is just be the most reasonable party here, because there is not a proliferation of people who will effectively take Keffals' side outside of Keffals' own community. This will allow her to have future conversations to make her case more persuasively later on if she really believes in it.
So, yeah.
So I guess this is reflexive. It's almost a stress response, perhaps.
Maybe.
It's like when Vosh
cynical.
finds himself in conversation with somebody who's more educated than he is on some topic, and sometimes is able to overcome the insecurity about that to have like a positive conversation, and sometimes he isn't. And I understand the impulse, but the result is you end up being.
I mean, there's this impulse, but I have been around people that know much more than me, like, all my life, so it's okay. They have carved down this impulse. A lot of those things are really societal, you know? What is quote-unquote clockable and what is not clockable. Like this whole clockability leads to many cis people being quote-unquote clocked. So that could be a segment on its own, how cis people are quote-unquote clocked to being trans, you know?
You end up looking like you're. It just looks bad. It just looks bad.
I mean, the fact that you can't really conceive of the idea that the average person who comes across Finn's content being 100% clear that this is not sort of trans-related or at least trans-tropey-related content that leans heavily into fucking trap discourse, and instead saying, you much smaller trans creators need to mind your P's and Q's and don't say anything about Finn because he's not trans?
No. I don't think that was said.
Why are you being so aggressive towards me? Like, I haven't raised my voice at you once, and you're telling me to fuck off, and you're yelling at me.
Yeah.
This was the
There you
mistake.
go.
Are you going to answer my question or not?
It doesn't matter. At this point, this
Yeah.
was a. Her position requires you to buy into so many highly tenuous positions
Exactly.
on things that I don't know if she can sustain in an actual argument.
That's right.
Individually. The bare fact that she has come off as basically a bully in this conversation with someone who has not, she loses. And it really is like she loses at that point because she has chosen it to be a game where somebody loses and somebody wins.
Yeah. Instead of a productive conversation, which this absolutely should be.
Which you can play, but you'd best not miss if that's what you're going to do. And she's missing really hard. This is just bad. This is just really bad. She's treating Keffals like she's Will, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's treating a lot of people like they're Will. I don't know what is going through her head when she's determining in her mind how to respond to these.
That she's winning, that is content, that is great. That she's doing great, that is she's owning people. Hello. He's owning her.
No, I'm just kind of speechless by like this aggression when I thought we could have a civil conversation about this.
Are you going to answer my question, or are you not going to answer my question?
She doesn't need to.
Can you
You're out.
repeat the question? Like I was just kind of shocked ever since that.
All right, so it seems like what you're doing here is you're saying, hey, smaller trans content creators that are harmed by transphobic tropes, make sure you mind your P's and Q's. And Finn, who to the average dumb fuck looks quite a lot like a trans content creator or trans.
So in other words, if someone cross-dresses and someone looks quote-unquote passable, this is unacceptable. It's unacceptable to cross-dress. This is basically the argument. Cross-dressing content creators are unacceptable, is the argument. Plain and simple.
Content creator, you can do whatever you want, even if it harms the trans community. That's what it sounds like to me you're saying.
How does Finn look like a trans content creator?
To the average person who is just sort of clicking around. I thought he was a trans content creator until I sort of dug into the content. I was like, oh, I guess he's not. But
Trap culture is problematic because it fetishizes by cis people, not because cis men enhance their femininity without transitioning. Boy, he's being absolute queerphobic right now.
So your issue is just with people who cross-dress?
Yeah. Like, President Sunday. Like, this keeps happening today. I pause, I make my case, I make my conclusions, I unpause, and seconds later, President Sunday basically says the same thing. I mean, it's just because, like, this is just a testament, to be honest, to how Pollypeople's arguments come off. Like, the conclusions of her argumentation. Like, this is the conclusion, that she's just against cross-dressing. That's it. Like, if people cross-dress to present as the point of cross-dressing is to present like as the gender, you know? The point of a guy cross-dressing as a girl because they want to present as a girl. So they want to be quote-unquote passing as well, cross-dressing people, you know? Of course. Yeah, right? And keep in mind, she said drag queens do not count because they are caricatures.
That's dumb, Polly. That's dumb.
Yeah.
You do not want to sign on to a worldview in which your genital set at birth dictates what clothing is appropriate for you.
Exactly.
These are a lot of transphobic tropes that we would take strays from. Like, this seems to be a super easy argument. Like, I don't understand, like, the fucking resistance to recognizing the bad effects on people like you and me that a larger non-trans content creator, they're sort of leaning into trap-related content, like why that's a problem and is perfectly reasonable to call out.
The average effect that Finn has is overwhelmingly positive for the trans community. In fact, I've talked to a lot of the trans people in Finn's community.
Yeah, but that doesn't answer the question. Like, the critique can remain, right? You can do plenty of good.
But the critique is not established. You actually haven't established that he's causing harm. You conjectured that he's leaning into a trope. The trope is ill-defined. The leaning into is ill-defined. The harm is ill-defined. You can't just say it leans into a transphobic trope as if that's simply uncontroversial, and then and then call it a day, you haven't actually made your case. You need to go from A to Z, and you need to show exactly all the beats that move
Exactly.
From this point to this causing harm. You need to do that. And you could do that in the genocide conversation. You did that well. You're not doing that here. Like, we know that Polly knows how to argue. This is the frustrating thing. This isn't... She's not incompetent. She can do this. This is a decision.
Yeah. This is why I think this is just about content.
And I'm not even going to say there's no good that's done there. I'm just saying, like, it is a perfectly reasonable critique that Finn, as a non-trans content creator who, to the average person who's clicking around, it's not going to be obvious to, leaning into trap-related content is problematic. And he should not do that.
No, I just think it's a silly argument.
It's like saying Mardi Gras parade is a caricature of femininity. It is a high performance like drag, while your performance is a public one. It's frustrating that people miss the point of drag. Yeah, it is frustrating, you know. Like like drag can be bombastic, and the outfits can be really flashy, but it doesn't mean that it's a caricature. You know, cis women perform in flashy outfits when they do certain things, and it doesn't mean that they become caricatures.
No?
Really.
Okay, it's silly.
Have to do with, yeah, it is silly.
All
You're
right.
being silly.
Okay, just let him do more transphobia, that's fine.
Because it's not transphobia. Finn's impact is overwhelmingly positive for both trans people.
Now, if memory serves, Polly has characterized Keffals' points as stupid. She's told Keffals to fuck off.
Yeah.
She's been raising her voice and yelling at her.
Hey, this is very performative as
The
well.
harshest Keffals has gone as she characterized her point. Polly's point as silly.
Yeah. Keffals is really trying to be patient here, genuinely patient. But what I mean by public is Polly is doing a public performance of gender what people do in their day-to-day. Yeah. Yeah. Like this is really, annoyed. Like this is made me really annoyed. Like hearing the whole caricature argument.
What a different world we would be in right now if Keffals had this kind of self-control and composure a few months ago. This is actual growth. I'm actually pleased to see that she's doing very well.
And for cis men.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
It's a far cry away from calling Stardust a stupid C-word on stream. She's doing fantastically. It's unusual to see. People usually get worse, not better.
Is calling a trans person a trap, is that transphobic?
Yeah, it is, but how's Finn doing that? Finn's not doing it.
Wait a second. You don't think he makes trap-related jokes and saying...
Okay, but it's not enough to say that the jokes utilize some element of transphobic culture or something to assert that therefore, or to justify the claim that therefore this is abetting transphobia. All humor mocking some attitude about something is going to, at some level, invoke elements of that attitude. That's why they're jokes about that, right?
You don't think he does that?
Yeah, he does. But it's
okay.
fine. He can do that.
He can make transphobic jokes. Why?
That's not a transphobic joke. That's not transphobic jokes. Traps don't own the word trap. I mean, trans people do not own the word trap. That's not true.
Well, right, but like white people don't own the N-word, but that doesn't make it good.
What the fuck does that have to do with what we're talking about?
Exactly.
Well, the fact you can't see it, I think, sort of explains the disconnect here.
No. It's because that T-slur targets both trans women and men who cross-dress.
Exactly.
It doesn't just target trans women.
Exactly.
It targets both.
Yeah, you're right.
Specifically
President
targets
Sunday
people
is right.
who have male biological features, who dress in a feminine fashion, so
President
that they look
Sunday is correct.
attractive to cis heterosexual men.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
Here, like,
What?
like, you can't use slurs or like wink and nod.
Which Finn is. Finn is also targeted by that slur.
Yeah.
So the analogy would be
Exactly.
that black people don't just own the N-word. And there's actually a point there, because there are other people for whom that has been modified or has been adapted to target. Right? Anybody see well, we know what the modifications are. I don't need to point to them, but you get the point.
Right. Yeah.
What one weird one that I'm almost certain is anachronistic, but one of them occurs in Revenant.
And this is
toward
really
slurs or
this whole thing this just makes me think that the argument is cross-dressing is bad, and like I just don't agree. I will not agree. You know. Like I've met people who just wanted to cross-dress, and it's perfectly fine.
like problematic tropes that are
There are cis men and cis boys that want to dress as girls and want to be pretty and look nice and identify as men. That's okay.
targeted at a marginalized community. If you're not in the marginalized community and expect to not receive criticism,
In fact, white people exclusively are not able to use it. It is uniquely inappropriate for white people to use the N slur.
for it at the very least.
What it? Okay,
How is
so
this hard? I mean,
how is
Jesus.
what hard?
How
Because
is this hard?
Polly,
people who aren't trans can totally use the word trap.
Oh,
As
okay, all right.
trap's not a transphobic slur.
Oh, Jesus.
It can be used as one.
All
If you're
right.
calling a trans person,
she's right. It's not categorically a transphobic slur.
Yeah.
It's not categorically a transphobic slur. It can target drag queens, for example, who drag queens who identify as men. Not all drag queens are men, by the way, but drag queens who identify as men. It can target them.
Yeah.
In
it
fact,
can.
I'm pretty sure that was the original referent, because it was not used. The whole part about trap, for example.
I'm also disappointed in I'm also here reading what's happening in Polly's chat, and like that is a whole other disappointing thing. Like the community that Pollypeople has, is sort of like. This is also disappointing to see how Pollypeople's community reacts to this, because she's acting this aggressive, and this is going. Keep in mind, this is a aspect that is not really being discussed. That she has catered a certain community, and she does certain things. She behaves in certain ways that the community that she has created responds favorably to. Do you know what I mean? You know? Like her community expects her to be this aggressive, expects her to be this like. Does that make sense? You know? Am I making sense? Like, look at the chat. Look at how the chat is reacting to what is going on. Like, from time to time. Notice what's happening in the chat in regards to the whole conversation. And you might notice what I mean.
Example, the statement is specifically saying, "You have been tricked. This is not a woman." However, if it's a trans woman, you're actually mistaken. That is a woman. You have not been trapped. You have not been tricked. So.
person a trap. Yeah, that's
Okay.
That can be used as a slur. But
I already used this joke today.
So like other slurs, so if slurs are, if transphobic slurs are used,
Stolen valor. I already made this joke today. I cannot believe. Stolen valor in the chat. Stealing my valor. Don't steal my jokes, my humor.
by a non-trans person in a way that is highly suggestive.
No, it's also typically transphobic because, again, transphobes don't mark the distinction between a drag queen and a trans woman. Is the crucial thing.
As to like, you know, the transphobic slur, but you know, they say I don't mean it. You know, like I don't mean
Also,
it.
hello,
It's
Adrian.
fine with you.
I feel like it depends on the context and who it's being said to.
Okay, so yeah, you know, so they.
Why the fuck is Keffals so reasonable?
I know.
That vacation to Europe did her some good, apparently.
I am the
say
most reasonable.
somebody
She's
makes
killing it
trap-related
here.
jokes, and you know, in a content creator setting, and in general, this person is not trans, but to the average transphobe, they're not going to know one way or the other. So like, you know, the average transphobe is going to look at that and say, like, look, see, traps admit that they trap. I knew it, and they'll come over here.
Like, why are we putting so much importance to what bigots will think, to how bigots will react? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is one of my biggest problems with this whole argument. Like, cross-dressing is suddenly not okay because the argument is, what will the bigots think? How will the bigots react? The bigots do not care. To a bigot, every single trans person is a cross-dresser. Like, bigots don't care, and we should not care about what bigots think. We should support cross-dressing people. We should support, you know, drag queens. We should support everybody. We shouldn't care what bigots think. This is not a good argument.
And you know, to my stream and assume I'm a trap too. I don't know why, Polly, you're saying you're not a trap because people like you or people, you know, who are essentially you are fucking admit it, Polly. Why don't you admit you're out there trapping and trapping?
This is very bad argument because it's not because people are people are just genuinely confused. It's because bigots will just post hoc say this. If not this, they will say something else. Bigots will always find a way to discredit the identity of trans people. We should not care what bigots think. You know? Like, this is just silly. This line of argumentation usually ends up throwing NBs under the bus at one junction or another. Exactly. Why would we? Why would we? It's ridiculous. Oh, we will see. Right now, the argument is cross-dressing is just bad. This is the argument. Like, it's horrible. Like, this should be unacceptable. You know? This is infighting and it's not good. I really hate using this term because it's often used to lump ideologies together, but she's actually infighting with other queer people. Yeah. It's like very big disappointment. Like we must build solidarity more than ever. Which is what I repeat is the year of Lucy Haze. The year of solidarity. The year of not doing this. Okay?
Trappy trappers and everybody.
So, I think what would be a good solution to this is just more education around it. And instead of trying to say that Finn is somehow harmful for doing something that doesn't really have to do with trans people.
So
there's an entire community out there of gender nonconforming men who use the term trap and cross-dress. And
all right, so
honestly, I'm happy for them.
Wait a second. You're happy. Wait. Hold on. You're happy that people further trap tropes?
No, that people practice gender nonconformity. Yeah.
I'm happy that we live in a year where more men feel that they can do gender nonconforming behaviors and can cross-dress.
Yeah, exactly.
You're
talk about it publicly. I think that's a sign of progress.
You're talking about one man who happened to discover.
No, listen. No. I'm not just talking about Finn.
You're talking about one man.
I'm talking about the general.
This is so dishonest. This is extremely dishonest. And the smile, this is and she keeps saying that Keffals interrupts. Right? Gender nonconformity, the only health supplements I need. True. It's true, But actually, obsessive words, it says a really good point here that this sort of reasoning really, not only ends up with throwing non-binary people under the bus, it directly led to throwing people of color and trans people under the bus during Stonewall. This is a really bad thing to try to push.
Okay,
really
but you're talking about one man who happened upon
So Keffals, at this point, has repeated 4 times, I'm talking about a whole community, and she just ignores it and says, you're talking about one man. British, in it, bruv.
Community.
A whole thing.
Once again, this isn't about just Finn. My argument was about the entire community of gender nonconforming men that cross-dress, and they also use the term trap.
Okay, well, I can't speak to every example of everybody using.
We cannot form our ideas and behaviors around what the bigots will think and how they will act. I can already answer this question. They will be bigoted. They will post hoc justify their bigotry no matter what. Our goal is to let everybody be themselves no matter what, and to unite in this endeavor. This is what we should be striving for, not to get certain bigger wins for just a fraction of people and throw all other people under the bus in order to further one's, goals, as Pollypeople has put it herself,
Trap tropes, but I gotta tell you.
So maybe it would behoove you to not try.
It should be suspect when somebody who is not going to be the target of the transphobic harm of the trap slur, which is a specific slur against trans women. It's a trans misogyny.
No, it's a slur against drag queens.
Yeah, it is.
Which transphobes group trans women under the category of.
Yeah, that's right.
Finn is...
President Sunday is correct.
For all intents and purposes, if he is a cis man who is dressing in women's clothing passably, he's a drag queen, essentially.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, he's not far removed.
A cross-dresser. A gender non-conforming person. Keep in mind that for many bigoted, super, hardcore bigoted people, unless you're doing any cross-dressing to mock the act itself, then you are already target of harassment. You will be a target of harassment if you do any sort of cross-dressing, and not in order to mock it. The only way to basically do any sort of gender non-conforming activity like cross-dressing and not be super harassed is to pull a Steven Crowder and do it super mockingly, you know?
From one more particular, I'm not sure how you would be, but, you know.
Nonsense.
He's targeted by that slur.
Yeah, of course, because he's doing gender non-conforming behavior. Of course.
That's a slur that targets people like him, not
Yeah.
just trans women.
That's
Which
right.
is a distinction that you need to mark.
Yeah.
Because you're not a drag queen. You're a trans woman.
Yeah, exactly.
Misogynistic slur. So if you're not a trans woman and you're using it, it's going to be suspect. I'm not saying you never could, but
You
certainly
think gender
fit.
non-conforming men aren't
certainly
like,
certainly
disproportionately the
fit.
target of violence.
That,
Like,
I mean,
come
are you
on,
going to
Polly.
keep
Think
straw
about-
manning me
think
into
about-
next week? So like,
You don't, okay,
Finn
first of all, you don't know what
Finn
the term straw man means. Second of all, there have been over 370 attacks on drag events in 2022.
True.
That's against gender non-conforming
Exactly.
men that cross-dress. How the fuck does that have to do with trans people? We're all in the same fight, and you.
Well, it has to do with trans people because they're being targeted as if they are also a part of the same thing.
Yeah.
So transphobes do not mark the distinction.
Transphobe does not care, but Keffals is right about us being in it. The sentiment behind what Keffals is saying is correct. We are all in this together, right? The sentiment is correct.
Between
course.
drag queens and trans women. And that's important to keep in
Yeah.
mind. So Keffals is a little bit incorrect here.
But the sentiment behind her words is correct.
She's absolutely right to point this out. Gender non-conforming men are being targeted here.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
People who are not men, for whom it is easier to code as a drag queen, they are being targeted here. Right? There's a whole lot of people being targeted here.
A big factor of it's the fetishization where this stems from police missing that they are categorized under the same fetish category as femme-presenting men, where the term trap is most relevant. Yeah.
Besides just trans people. What puts you into the category of gender non-conforming is that you are not conforming to the gender descriptions of your society. Drag queens do not do this. Cross-dressers definitionally do not do this. That's where the cross part comes in. Obviously.
Picking this fight is harmful for our entire community.
So Polly,
Is Keffals trans? No, Keffals is a cis woman.
shut up. Let Finn do all the transphobic shit he wants. That's what
I
your
didn't
take
say
is.
that, but if you want to take it that way, you can.
I mean,
Yeah?
fair enough. I mean, okay.
Gee. Oh, gee. Okay.
Transphobic tropes, I guess, are terrific. You heard it here
She
first
didn't
from
say that.
Keffals.
She didn't say that.
Well, I'm glad that that's your takeaway from the situation, I guess.
All right. Well, I appreciate the chat.
Yeah, likewise.
All right. Have a nice one.
It was in the chat. And why? This is like body language speaks louder than words, okay? Notice her body language, okay? Why is she happy about this? Why is it so great about this talk? This should be a disappointing talk. Like, what? Why is she, like, is this, like, this is all about scoring your win, and you can clearly see it.
Paula, you did not win this. You looked so bad here.
Exactly. Like, President Sanders noticed this as well. Because, like, the comment that came out of his mouth was, that's Paul, you did not win this. Like, this is not good, okay? This is not great for anyone. This conversation should never be about winning or losing this sort of topic. Yeah, Keffals did sound very disappointed. Because I think she came on for a very different thing. Like, I think she came on expecting something different. That is my opinion. I don't think she expected this.
Alright, that was something else.
Gosh. I don't know. I don't... In the laugh, everything... Okay.
Oh, dude. Alright. That was
right.
Keffals. I mean, what the fuck?
That was Keffals.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
No, I think the question is, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe
Maybe I should get myself more involved in the conversation. Like, should I have a chat with someone about this? Should I have a chat with Keffals about this? I don't know if I want to have a chat with Pollypeople about this. So I'm not sure I really want to have this sort of aggression pointed at me for no reason. Like, I don't know. Maybe I could get a chat with President Sandy about this, or with Keffals, or someone. Maybe Chariot. I wonder what Chariot will say about this.
Keffals is the most successful trans person in this space, for better or worse. You all but seem to have decided it's worth burning the Demon Mama bridge on account of her being positively disposed towards me, which I think is stupid. What are you doing?
I don't know. I have no idea.
What are you doing?
I have no idea.
What's the goal here?
I have no clue.
You were gonna bring Keffals on and just yell at her for an hour? Like, what was the point?
I don't know.
Yeah, man, and I thought I had questions about all that shit.
What is this laugh? Like, why?
Okay, well, I mean, like...
Why is she so happy about this? Look at the comments, your chat. Look at the chat, you're obliterated. Was in and out. Wow. Oh, that was something else. Like... Yeah, she did burn the Demo Mama bridge as well.
What we learned here today is that, I mean, I was right when I...
What happened? What is this music?
Sorry, I was right when I came to the conclusion who hung up on who. We didn't hang up on anybody. We're just like, all right, well, I guess that's it then. Okay, you heard it here first.
What's happening? Why is she so happy? Why is she so in such good mood? Going into a convo with someone who's sensibly an ally with an intention of winning is messed up. Yeah, it is like messed up. Like it's missing the point of the whole conversation. This should absolutely not be about winning or losing. This should be about exploring. This should be about exploration 100%. I don't get it.
Alright. I don't know what to make of that. Like, you know.
I have...
No free slur ticket for trans tourists. Disco break, everybody. Let's see.
Trans tourists? That's a term? Trans tourism? That's a term? Oh no. Oh no, trans tourism. Is this the new version of transgenders? Is this where we're going? The whole transgender route once again? Are we really here again? I thought we were past this. I thought we were past this whole transgender bit.
Yeah, fuck. I mean, look. Score one for honesty there. Like, I gotta tell you, that's not the first time somebody has ended my discussion with, just let people be transphobic, brother. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, nobody said that. Nobody said just let people be transphobic. Nobody said that. Ridiculous. Like, there we go. I guess we're entering the new transgender thing. This is like, I guess it's like trans tourist. I guess tourist is the big word now. War tourist, trans tourist, like, I don't know. I guess I'm gonna have to call people dark tourists or something. I don't know. Quack tourists.
someone in Keffals chat just said you were a turf. I know. Well, people are saying that.
She didn't say just let people be transphobic. She said they weren't being transphobic. Trap as a slur does not just refer to trans people, it refers to drag queens as well, and cross-dressers generally, who are not all drag queens, by the way.
Oh, there's a reason why on one stream, Polly went into a whole tirade, like talking how DGG is not that bad, and that she'd like to talk to Steven, right? Yep.
It's not just yours, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
So where does this go from here?
There's nothing really to say here. Why are you acting smug like this is a victory? You look like a fool. Polly, just stop. Just don't do this. When you get a large person as an audience, okay, who's on side, not someone who's merely toxic, someone who engages with your community, who your community is engaged with, who is important. Do something with it. You're gonna take Keffals down. Take Keffals down. I don't know what the point of this was. You didn't beat Keffals in an argument. You just acted smug and condescending and dismissive.
And angry.
Someone who's making a lot more sense than you in this conversation.
Yeah.
Your accusations against Finn were undermotivated, and that's being charitable. You were belligerent without any provocation, by the looks of it. And it doesn't matter. You can drum up like, well, no, we had Keffals seemed sort of dismissive in DMs or on Twitter or something. Optics are everything. You are in a visual medium. There's nobody handing out points for being technically right. If you are correct and you have made the better position look terrible, that's on you.
Sorry, that was a bit of an oversight on my part. So I apologize for that. That was a bit of like oversight.
Within reason. Like, Keffals was allowing you to speak. She was shutting up when you went off on a tirade. She didn't even fight you for space. When you said shut the fuck up or like fuck off.
That's because she didn't come for an argument. Clearly, that was very apparent. She didn't come for an argument. She came for a discussion, and Polly just came for a fight.